the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah.
Let's go! FT Live on a Wednesday. Braun, Kratz, Krasinski, Jesús Luzardo, a.k.a. Zeus, I've been told, from the Marlins, joining us soon. Lance Lynn, ever heard of him, from the White Sox? Not just on Lance Life, but on Domingo German Life. Got to get to that. And Ben Nicholson-Smith from SportsNet, who covers the Toronto Blue Jays, reporter on the Jays, probably has a few things to cover with us. So do we really have to
Nothing
bullshit?
even really happened in Toronto
No, nothing.
I figured we'd just go over scores today.
Just read box scores plainly.
Yeah.
Well, hey, watch the games, because if you just look at the box score, you missed a lot from Jays-Yankees. Just saying.
Yeah, the box score didn't tell any of the story in that game.
No.
Between the pitching problems, the yelling, Kratz's boy called someone fat shamed some dude.
Can we actually start there? So I think most people actually don't know who that was directed towards. So manager John Schneider of the Toronto Blue Jays was saying, "Shut up, fat boy." We all saw it. And there are a lot of people, like, I'll give an example. I'm friends with John Heyman, right? He's been on the show before, and he was like, more importantly, who was he directing that towards? And I'm like, oh, most people don't know? Eric Kratz to the rescue, Kratzy. Who was he talking to?
Poor. I mean, never should we fat shame somebody, as
Sure.
AJ said, but that
100%.
was a funny usage of it. But yeah, my first roommate in pro ball, John Schneider, called out Brad Wilkerson, who I'm not even sure what his coaching role is. I'm not sure.
Assistant hitting coach.
He's one of them. He's one of the hitting coaches. Because I think Dylan Lawson, he's the head hitting coach. So anyway, but yeah, he was calling him out, and it was the standard AL East. You always see this in the AL East. You saw Alex Cora shoo off Phil Nevin. You saw Schneider shoo off Brad Wilkerson. It's great drama. It's great theater.
But why do you call him fat? Wilkerson's not fat.
Maybe he's put on some weight.
I guess. I mean,
maybe he had a
spread.
tight.
You and Todd said the Yankee spread is the best spread in the league, so maybe he's been chowing down.
Other people were like, bat boy, frat boy. No, I didn't see inflection with an R.
Who did he call? He's not yelling at the bat boy to stop talking.
Shut up, bat boy.
Shut up, bat boy.
Stop stealing signs. And I don't think, is Brad Wilkerson a frat boy? I mean, I don't know him. He was a little before my broadcasting career time, although I followed his career quite a bit.
Legend, though.
He had a good little run in the bigs,
too. He had a great run, but he was a Florida Gator legend.
Really?
Yeah,
like -5 legend? Like that kind of bats?
Like two-way pitched. Todd Helton came in and pitched games and lefty. Brad Wilkerson was a stud. He played soccer, too, I think, growing up. He's from Kentucky. He was at JU, Jacksonville University, was the recruiting guy, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, by the way, guys, I'm leaving. I'm going to the Yankees. Weird career path. You go from Jacksonville University to the Yankees. I don't know how you turn that down.
You don't.
Yeah.
You run.
Talk about an ultimate job, though. If he was a frat boy and now he's just on the bench as the third hitting coach for the Yankees, I mean, that is the ultimate frat boy job. He's probably getting like six Aaron Judge autographs every day, just selling them for whatever frat boys need, OE 40s and Mad Dog 2020.
I don't even know what that is, but it sounds fratty.
Take your word for it.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds fratty as hell. So
Keystone Light.
Too. That I understand. Now You're speaking my language. Natties too. So, all right, let's jump in, because then in 20 minutes we have the Blue Jays perspective here from one of their top reporters, Ben Nicholson-Smith. Okay. I'd like to begin with pregame. You want to do this somewhat chronologically?
We should do it chronologically, because the way it all went down is kind of in order, and it makes kind of sense.
Let's charge the damn mound. So, Aaron Judge.
Before you start, I thought there might be a charge amount if someone got dotted last night. Nobody got dotted, and we might have had to charge the mound.
They play each other a few billion more times this year.
At some point, Aaron Judge is going to get hit, and it'd be by accident, but there might be a thought of, hey, I'm charging the damn mound.
Mm-hmm.
That you think Judgy will charge the mound?
No, I'm saying there'll be a thought in his mind, At least for a split second, that'll say, "Ooh, should I go?"
Oh
think
man,
that's
that would
his
look
style.
like one
not.
of those. It would look like everybody has that style in them. If it escalates and there's intent and your anger rages enough and you plan on doing it, that would look like one of those cartoons where, like, I'm not sure what cartoon it was, but the big guy would just go, and the pitcher would just like end up in the ground and just stuck. If Judgy charged the mound on anybody.
You think that Robin Ventura had that in him when he charged Nolan Ryan and got his ass beat by Nolan Ryan?
You just feel it.
You think he had it in him? He didn't have. Only thing he had in him was a headlock and a bunch of punches to the noggin.
Adrenaline got the best of him. So Judge before the game was not happy with the Blue Jays broadcast team because they pointed out the peaking, and he said he had choice words for them. Now, I will also say, because this is good perspective, Michael Kay calls the Yankee games for years. He defended the Blue Jays broadcasters. He was like, they didn't accuse or do anything wrong. And here's the tweet from Brian Hoke, who joined us yesterday. Judge said that he has some, quote, choice words about the Blue Jays broadcasters, insinuating that he was cheating. He declined to share them. Quote, I'm not happy about it, but people can say what they want. I've still got a game to play. I've got things to do. Did they even say the words cheating?
No.
They did not.
They just said, what's he looking at?
They said, what's he looking at? That is the job of a broadcaster. You document the game. They show what's on the screen and you talk about it. There are not many things that you should listen to me about, but that is one thing that I do have significant hours of experience in. We tell you what's going on. We are there and we know what is being shown on the screen. That's their job, period. And they didn't accuse him of anything. They pointed out what was going on and said, that's odd. Because it's not like he steps up to the plate and every time he's peaking. That would be a problem too. But it's also not illegal. There was a great story from Ken Rosenthal, which I do think we're going in chronological order with that. Because Ken actually spoke to Jay Jackson, who's a veteran reliever. He was sent back down, partially because he's got a pretty mean tell right now. You can see, you can tell what's going on from first base, according to this story. And Jay Jackson spoke to Ken and said that he was giving pitches away. And so that's where the story is. Rosenthal, Blue Jays pitcher, admits he was tipping pitches when facing Aaron Judge.
And subscribe for $2.
For The Athletic. We're free.
I know. Just gigantic on the screen.
I see that. But that, to me, helped tell the story of last night and also helped dispel a lot of things. One, wasn't cheating, right? That's something that's on the field. But two, wasn't looking at his teammates, giving them the side eye that they should shut up because Aaron Boone had recently been tossed. That's not true.
No.
I'm done talking.
No. Yes.
You guys go for the next 15 minutes.
So, Kratzy, if you sync it up, and they've done this all, if you go on Twitter and Instagram, they have all these things where as soon as Jay Jackson would go like this, you could see the pitch. And that was right when Judge's eyes went from straight ahead to, where is he looking? I'm looking over here. I mean, it was right when he got to this point where he could see it. So that tells you that either the first base coach or someone in the dugout was doing something to tell him, hey, here comes a slider. And he threw him 6 sliders in a row. Obviously, he hung one. He hit it 5,000 feet, the last one. But that's not cheating. That's on you for giving away your pitches. That's tipping, and that's what people look for. That's what hitters look for. That's what coaches look for. That's what everybody looks for. So it wasn't cheating, and we never accused him on this. Anyone on this show ever said he was cheating. We said he was getting something from a tip, and that's fine. That's just you're bad on the Blue Jays for not seeing this on their end and noticing it. So what he did was not illegal. What he did was not wrong. Just he got caught, and the Blue Jays pitcher self-admitted it, and it was too late. But good on him for saying it. But now, guess what? Every time that dude takes him out, everyone's going to be like, where's his glove?
Yeah, but it might be in their head because if he fixes it in
True.
the minor leagues, it's actually good. I mean, clearly the word was out internally.
Yes.
People knew how to get this guy. So he goes down, and he's been shuttled up and down anyway. But now he can go down to the minors and be like, all right, dude, let's fix that. So I love that inside access that was provided there for us to understand. Also, props to AJ Kratzy because yesterday, right off the jump, he was like, you were not looking at the dugout to your teammates. Because a lot of people did believe that. And I actually, at least initially, was like, okay, Judge, honorable guy. That's what he's saying. He's never done it before. Okay. And AJ was like, no.
No, that you had it spot on. And I mean, it was a strong strain. Like, I feel like the first base coach is more like there. This was a strong strain. So I feel like the dugout is where it was coming from, which brings up another point. Like, is that allowed? I didn't know, because I know I have relayed things in from the dugout before when I played because of stuff like this. Like, you hear something early on in a pregame meeting, in a pre-series meeting. Hey, if this person comes in, we can see this from, possibly from the end of the dugout. You can see it possibly, and then maybe you relay it in. And I found out last night, something I did not know, is that you cannot relay anything from the dugout to the field, which is news to me. I thought that was allowed as long as it wasn't anything with technology, but I think that's something that came up, I don't know, probably like 2018 when they kind of revisited the whole sign stealing rule changes and stuff like that.
So you're saying you actually don't think that every aspect of Ken's story is on point?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, what I read about Ken's story was how, Jay came, he was coming set and he said he was doing something or something else. I think there's a lot to unpack there. And I think they're also kind of led into what happened with Luis Rojas at third base yesterday, when Pete Walker, and I guess Pete was really the one that was yelling at him. And I think Schneids just came over and, escorted him back to their end of the dugout. Because I think there could be a little like sign relaying from coaches based on where they set up and how they can, how they see, where the guy's hands are set, and you can relay it to the front side of the hitter. Because it's not all, well, they don't want you, they want you in he could care less if they want you in the box. I think it could be something where there is a relay. And I'm very like conspiracy theory about this stuff. I think everybody's doing something. I don't know about you, AJ, but I felt like the first time I heard of somebody relaying signs, my mind was like opened up to this whole new world of like, wait a minute. I've definitely been doing that. I definitely moved too soon. I touch my chest protector before every breaking ball. And it just like, it makes me skeptical of everybody. Like, the Jays are aware of it. So what are the Jays doing? That's my thing. Like, how do the Jays relay signs?
I don't know, but my whole thing was the hitter before Judge was the lefty guy. Oh my gosh, Bauer. And he peaked at the third base coach at the same time. So was someone, either the first base coach or someone in the dugout, giving it to the third base coach, and then he was giving him, all it takes is third base coach can be standing like this, and he just takes this hand out. He's like this, and he goes, nobody would ever notice. And hey, guess what? Here comes a breaking ball, right? Or whatever. Or just go like this and put your arms down. You stand with your hands on your hips, and it's breaking ball. You just put your hands down. It's
Start
that
walking
simple.
Away. Yeah.
Move, just walk, or anything. There's a million different things you can do. And so that's what makes me a little more skeptical that they were giving them, not only maybe the first base coach was giving them a third base coach, but it was something quick. And I know people are saying, what's different between this and the Astros? Well, the difference for me is the Astros were using technology. They were using a camera to get the signs and then go on a trash can. That is like horrible to me. That's bad, because that's using something. That's not finding something on your own. That's not looking at a pitcher and saying, oh, he wiggles his glove only on this pitch. And there was a pitcher, there's pitchers I've played against that tipped with their mouth. They'd stick their tongue out on certain pitches, right? They'd go, when they were throwing certain pitches, their finger in their glove. That's why all the pitchers have their finger covered in their glove. Guys would stick their finger up on fastballs and bend it on breaking balls. There's a million different things. We saw Michael Kopech early in the year with the White Sox, right? He was doing the way he was setting, was giving the Giants pitches. They hit 5 home runs off of them. That is not cheating. That's just gamesmanship. And that is, but when you go to a technology and use technology to get an advantage to me, like the Red Sox and Yankees were using the iPhone, the watch.
Apple Watch.
The Apple Watch, and they were getting signs sent down. Hey, here's their signs with the runner on second. That's different than a guy being out on second and watching and going, oh, the catcher's da-da-da-da. Okay, it's second sign, or it's last sign, or it's set sign after 2.
Or where's the catcher set up, which is really big.
Or that,
I've
or
spoken
location.
to plenty of managers that are like set up super late, and you guys are both catchers, right?
100%.
If you know if a guy's set up out here or here, makes a big difference.
And to what Kratz said about like touching his chest on breaking balls, I always tried to set up the same way inside and outside. It was always this foot first, then this foot. Because for years I was scared to death, like, because we would get location off guys sometimes. And so you say, okay, how do I do this? I always got to set up right foot, or left foot, right foot. So you can't tell if I'm setting up inside or outside, or you hop, or whatever each guy does differently. But there's so many ways that you can get things not only off the pitcher, but off the catcher. Oh, does he get his butt up higher because it's a breaking ball coming, or is he lower because it's a fastball? Or I mean, there's a million different things. And that's not cheating. That's just knowing what to look for.
But what is cheating is relaying anything from the dugout. I think technology or not, correct, Kratz?
See, and that's how I read the rule. That yes, I wish I had sent you guys the rule, and so you guys could read it yourself. It's one of those like rule 15.1.1, and you're like, this for there and thou cannot do any sign stealing from anybody but the coaches and players on the field, and nothing from the dugout or technology. It doesn't specifically lay it out, but it's something that's like that was new to me, because that's why you're sitting on the bench. That is where I spent literally 75% of my career, was sitting on the bench. And like, what can you find? What can you do? A lot of coaches always say this, especially on teams that want to win. Do something every single day to help your team win. Even if you're not in a game, what is that one thing? For starters who aren't playing, that one thing might be go sit up in the clubhouse because you're annoying when you're not playing. But, and we're really getting into the weeds with this because it is so intricate. Reading catchers and how they move, reading pitchers and how they breathe, when they set their foot down, and all that stuff is happening at these higher level teams: Blue Jays, Yankees, Rays, Astros. I'm trying to just name all the teams that are playoff contending teams that I played for. Phillies, that I know there's somebody that's employed for those teams that 90% of their job is to watch previous video and to find some kind of tip, even if it's just one per series. Like Jay Jackson's not coming in for the Blue Jays in super nut cutting time, but he's in there in this game. Hey, you found that? Whatever it is that they found from him, whether it is his timing thing, whether it is back here, they found it. And Aaron Judge hit an absolute nuke off it. And so that guy who found that helped the team win.
So on the base coach side of things, the Blue Jays spoke to the league yesterday morning about this. They said they had a problem with the positioning of the coaches. This is from Keegan Matheson from MLB. At this point, Toronto seems to be taking issue with where New York's base coaches were positioned, which contradicts Judge's answer post-game. That was before the Ken story, which at least helped to unravel some things. And there's one more tweet on that front from Keegan talking to John Schneider on whether there was concern about the positioning of the Yankees base coaches. The quote from Schneids: I think that there's boxes on the field for a reason. I think when it's a glaring 30 feet where you're not in that spot, you kind of put 2 and 2 together a little bit. So that was one chapter of last night, though.
Yeah, but hold on, just real quick on this. There's never been a base coach that stood in that damn box ever. So, like, let's just stop with the base coach crap, okay? Because there has never been a coach stand in that box. They're moving all over the place. If you got Vlad Guerrero up and he's hitting, the third base coach is down the left field line to keep from taking a line drive in the tee.
Yep.
You got You got Anthony Rizzo up, big lefty. Guess where the first base coach is? Down the line. And then if there's guys in scoring position, they move. They're that's to me that's a non-starter for me. But continue.
But that was the thing last night, right? Because then they pointed it out during the game, and Luis Rojas, who's the third base coach for the Yanks, got heated. And then Boone went to tattle on them because everyone's taking the screenshots of the base coaches and where they're positioned, and it plays to what you're saying. That's all. Nobody's standing in the box the way they should.
First of all, the box is like 6 foot by like 2 foot. So the coach would have to stand in this little tiny area. It'd be like he's in a jail cell. I mean, it's like, oh, I'm in the 8x12 box. I don't want to move because I'm going to get yelled at by the umpire. Like, walk wherever you want. But you got to pay attention. You got to pay attention. I know even in high school games, I watch the first base coach for the catcher, and then they start creeping towards that line. I'm like, hey, come on, move away a little bit. And I'm not doing nothing. I'm like, okay, well, then you got no problem. Move on back, buddy. Move on back.
Yep. You got to, but you have to watch that stuff. To me, that's what I love about what Pete Walker did yesterday. Pete Walker is not just sitting there going, oh, let's see, he's a 238.5. Oh, iOS is his WAR created is no. He's in the game and he's watching. He's like, this looks shady. I don't like what you were doing. We saw what Judge did yesterday. I don't like what you're doing. You can't be standing where you're standing. I don't think they wanted him in the box. I don't think they cared. And it's not even a box. It's open on the one side. It's not like it's like all zoned in. It's just 3 sides of the rectangle. So he can stand as far back as he wants. There's no like, it's not mandatory that you stand in there, and nobody does. But if the Blue Jays think they're relaying signs back and forth to each other, yeah, heck yeah. Pete Walker, you stand up for your pitchers. This is the kind of stuff that I'm not going to name a team, but you're not going to see on other teams where some coaches are just sitting there collecting a check and they're like, man, I can't wait until we get on another flight to go to another city. Like, these guys care. Pete Walker's been there for years. He was there when I was originally with the Blue Jays. He was a player, and then he was pitcher, and then he became the pitching coach. Like, he's been there for a long time. And for him to yell at the third base coach, I love it. I love all the drama.
I love all the drama from Boone, barking back at them and clapping back, saying, hey, where are you guys standing? So let's run that.
I think Aaron Boone is upset maybe with where Luis Rivera is right now. I'm just speculating. That's what he's pointing at. Tell him to move in.
Hey, Mom!
Yep.
Yeah, we mentioned it's difficult for third base coach to get an angle.
He's like the kid. Hey, Mom, look, that's
Yep.
him. He's doing it.
Yep.
He's doing it, Mom.
And it's almost like, he hit me first. No, he didn't. And then Mom looks away and it's like, hey, what? No, like, you can't do that. Like, that was great. And you could tell Booney was being very, what's the word? Cheeky about it. He was
Childish
being very,
Here's the best part of this whole thing. We're talking about Aaron Judge, talking about base coaches. We're talking about Aaron Boone, Pete Walker. Guess who we're not talking about? Domingo German, who got ejected for using sticky shit on his fingers. He's the happiest guy in the world right now because he's like, nobody's talking about me. I'm just going to take a 10-day vacation.
Second happiest. The entire Mets organization is so happy with what's going on in the Yankees. You're right, Domingo. What the heck, man?
There it is. Got to show it, because what's on his pants is not natural. What is that, first of all?
It looks like pine tar.
Tobacco.
You think so? Well, the where he had his thumb, that's just dirt from the balls because it gets on your fingers. And I used to get it in my glove and on my pants because I'd have my hand in my glove and it'd get dirty, so you just rub it on your pants. So I'd have that on my pants too. But where his thumb is, that's just dirt. But I don't know what the dirt. I mean, tobacco.
I mean,
Dip just sits on your pants like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you had it on your thumb, if you just threw a fresh hog in, I mean, and Mingo's got, I mean, he's got a big old, I mean, it's a big one. And so if he had just thrown one in, he could get it on his thumb and it wipes off. I have a hard time believing he's using pine tar.
Okay, let me ask this question for you. Does he come across as after what happened his last start, and this is not a personal shot. This is an honest question. Does he come across as somebody that did a smart thing the last time he pitched and James Hoy was the umpire against Minnesota? Rocco Baldelli got ejected for they let him wash his hands and do the whole get the stuff off. The next time he sees him in a game, the same umpiring crew, James Hoy said it was the stickiest, shiniest I've ever seen anybody's hand. So that just is not a smart thing to tempt fate with. You should have had someone in the Yankees organization, somebody, the pitching coach, Aaron Boone, whoever, Brad Wilkerson, if you want to ask him, I don't know who, say, hey, dude, do not have anything on your hands at all. And when I mean anything, I mean don't put rosin on your hands. Don't put a thing on your hands, because guess what? These dudes are out for blood because you got them last time. People were all over him for him getting away with it last time. Guess what they weren't going to let him do this time? James Hoy and his crew weren't letting him get away with it the second time. And I don't care if it's dip. I don't care if it's pine tar. I don't care if you took a rosin bag and went, oh, I accidentally dropped it on my hand.
They said it wasn't rosin, too. That's the other quote from the crew chief, James Hoy. Quote, it's not rosin. It was definitely not rosin, because I've felt hands with rosin. That wasn't rosin. It was extremely sticky, and rosin is usually kind of like a little tackiness. This was sticky, as in my fingers had a hard time coming off his palm. Now, we've seen demonstrations. We've talked about this ourselves. That's actually wrong, according to most pitchers that we've spoken to. You can get a lot of stickiness from the rosin and the sweat and the whole deal. So my question before we bring in our Blue Jays guest and keep going on this is, don't we have a serious league problem? Because Domingo German has made multiple starts since then. Do we really think he picked those 2 games to have sticky hands that cause him to get kicked out of a ball game, but the other starts he doesn't? He's just picking on James Hoy and his crew, who's looking at him. I think that umps all have different levels of stickiness, and they have no freaking clue what is on someone's hands, what constitutes stickiness or not. Like he's saying, rosiness doesn't have that stickiness to it. Yeah, it can if it's hot enough and if they're putting enough rosin on there. Not saying that's the only thing he was using, but it just sounds like a lot of people are lost on this and the rules are broken on sticky stuff.
I don't think we here on the show have to get it right. All we have to do is see his reaction to it. To me, I feel like Scherzer did not feel like he did anything wrong based on his reaction. I feel like Mingo, based on his reaction, felt like he got caught. And I'm only viewing his body language, what he said, how he said it afterwards. And to me, the league is the source that needs to figure this out. And it has to lie in the spin rates. That's it. It's like the whole
his spin rates weren't up yesterday.
Yeah, his spin rates
weren't up yesterday.
Yeah, but he might be doing it all year. And then what's your baseline?
No.
How do you know that, though?
I don't, because umps have different ump checks.
No, I'm saying, but spin rates, yeah, we can say spin rates, but if a guy's been using the same stuff his whole career, he stays inside that margin. How do we know?
But you're talking about a huge jump. If to correlate what Hoy said, what James Hoy said was, it's the stickiest that I've ever felt. It was not rosin, because I felt rosin and this was something else and it was shiny. So to me, if you're using something, if you're like, holy cow, here we go. I got a Tyrus stick right here and I'm just putting Tyrus right on my fingers. This is going to get ripped. Like you're going to see at least 200, probably more like 300 RPM change in your pitches.
Yeah, but
and
that doesn't have that. But he wasn't. He wasn't. They said on the broadcast he was within 50 of his normal range.
Right.
So he was using the same stuff.
So that's what doesn't correlate to me.
You can't use spin rate, because if he didn't use it his last start and he's in within 50, but that spin rate doesn't work. There's got to be a better way.
That's the whole reason to get rid of the sticky stuff, was because guys were illegally making the ball spin, and that's why they came up with it. And now they're just going by, because is this going to just go up during the summer when everybody starts sweating like crazy? They put more rosin on. Oh, here we go. Another 10 games, lost another pitcher.
It's happening more frequently. I know it's only happened a couple times, but it's 2 pretty significant names. Of course, one very significant name in Max, and we're only in mid-May. It's true. Yeah, you're going to get stickier and sweatier. Let's bring in Ben Nicholson-Smith, who covers the Blue Jays for a long time now for SportsNet and who's up there handling all of the drama and the controversy and probably, at least I would say, Ben, having a good time with it.
Definitely. I mean, this is pretty interesting stuff. And I think, too, like, it's May. I've never spent as much time watching coaches in coaching boxes as I did last night. It's kind of fun just to have a little bit of a twist and watch all this unfold. And it's good baseball, too. I mean, Aaron Judge hitting bombs, whether he's got the signs or not, that's still tough to do.
Has this become a rivalry? I know it was a little bit the last couple of years because the Blue Jays became good and the Yankees have been good for a long time. But has this just escalated this into must-watch TV? Because I couldn't take my eyes off the game last night. I was staying up, saying, "Man, I can't change the channel. I want to watch every moment just to see what happens next."
Oh, 100%. And I think, too, like in the last 6 months or so, we've seen how much the Blue Jays dislike the Yankees. Like Vlad Guerrero Jr. basically going out of his way to very seriously say that he would never play for the Yankees, not even dead. I mean, that's a direct quote from Vlad Jr. Then you get to Alek Manoah, who's basically telling Garrett Cole, next time there's a skirmish, I want to see you walk past the Audi sign at Yankee Stadium in the foul territory there. So, these are teams that don't necessarily like each other that much. I mean, the Yankees, as you guys know, they kind of don't like to let anyone see if someone's getting under their skin. So they kind of play it a bit more stoically. But the Blue Jays are pretty clear about the fact that they don't really like the Yankees that much.
First of all, we have to hear you say the word sorry because we love Canadian accents on here and we need to hear it.
Sorry? I mean, how's that sound?
Yep.
Is that properly Canadian?
Beautiful.
Sorry
That was
about
beautiful.
that.
So
10 out of 10.
Back to the baseball stuff. That's what we needed. But how does it play out from here? From what you're hearing post game last night, and how we still got more games to play, and they're going to play a lot more this season.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question, right? Because Garrett Cole's on the mound. I don't know. I got the sense that at least between the coaching staffs, there is some real animosity. You look at Pete Walker and John Schneider, you look at Aaron Boone. I mean, some of that's directed toward the umpires, as you guys were talking about with the Domingo German stuff and the sticky stuff, but there's not a lot of love lost between these two sides right now. I think that for the Jays, the other thing is they need to start winning some games because they're not playing great baseball right now. And it's one thing to chirp the Yankees and, talk about their third base coaches and where the positioning is. But end of the day, you got to produce better. You got to start winning some games. So the Jays can't allow this to become too big of a distraction. They really need to be producing on the field and having better results and not hanging sliders to Aaron Judge. Because if you execute the slider and it's down and away off the plate, maybe he's hitting that one down the first baseline, or maybe he's swinging and missing at it. So some of this too is, the Jays need to be able to focus and focus on the task at hand. But I won't be surprised if there is a bit more intrigue as this series moves ahead.
I have so many questions. So first off, because I want to poll people, do you know who John Schneider was directing his "Shut Up, Fat Boy" comments to?
I don't know, but I really want to know, and I'm curious for any guesses. I don't know. You guys might have some good guesses there.
Yeah, Brad Wilkerson.
That's a guess that I've heard. That's a guess that I've heard as well.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's a guess. I think it's the answer.
It's
right.
Yeah,
it's the answer.
Yeah.
As far as fitness goes, it would probably be the answer.
We've got Kratz is the former Yank. I mean, he's not too far removed from that ball club, so I think he is the source here. So just wanted to make sure everyone knows.
It was me that said it.
Yes.
So Ben, hopefully you can go and interview him tomorrow or today,
Thanks, Eric.
this afternoon.
I appreciate you covering me there.
Ben, has Judge said, and we saw all the comments afterwards, that he had choice words for the Blue Jays announcers. Did he talk to him? Did he go up to Dan Shulman and Buck Martinez and say, "Hey guys, shut up," or "What are you guys talking about?" Or is that he just let it go?
I as far as I'm aware, he just let it go. As far as I'm aware, there hasn't been any sort of public conversation there. I work with Dan and Buck, obviously, and they're so good at what they do. I think that they ended up observing something that's part of the game, and it happened in the field of play. I think credit to those guys, and it is a little bit of an awkward situation, but I think those guys did their job, and I think they're doing the fans a service by highlighting that part of the game.
Ben, Kratzy, let me just jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you were in the clubhouse post game, what was being talked about? Was there anything notable that we should know? Was the conversation more about whatever you want to call it, Glancegate, peekaboo, coaches in the box? The story then that came out later about Jay Jackson tipping and that Ken Rosenthal reported via The Athletic. And then the other layer, of course, is Domingo German and the sticky stuff. So I'm laying it all out there for you.
Well, and this is a game where Vlad Jr. left with an injury, which is, as far as the actual baseball of it, that's probably the most significant part of all. I mean, we're not sure what the status of that is. We'll learn more tomorrow or later today. But yeah, the discussion went all over the place. There was a lot to cover. I mean, it's one of those games afterwards. And after the first game was on the Yankees side, it was pretty buttoned up. It was, they're talking about the win. Judge said what he said about, what had happened. Last night I was on the Jays side, and it was a tough loss for them. So, Kevin Gausman was talking about it and saying that it was a little bit of a distraction. He did admit that these teams kind of dislike each other, but I think, and AJ, Eric, you guys would have some interesting insight into this, but to some extent, I think that this is like something the coaching staff is really fixated on. I'm not sure that every player in that room is as fixated on this.
Do you think Aaron Judge is now the biggest villain in Toronto?
Probably. I mean, I think at the end of the day, though, it's hard to be that mad at Aaron Judge because, if the Yankees picked up on signs to some extent, and this is assuming they're not using any illegal technology, which, maybe that's a big assumption because they did use illegal technology in 15 and 16 and were fined by the commissioner's office for that, as you guys know. But assuming there was no illegal technology used this time, then all right, Jay Jackson's tipping pitches, as he admitted to Ken in a great piece by him. And so, all right, that's good job by the Yankees then to pick that up. And then the slider wasn't executed and Judge is hitting homers. So I think he's a villain, but it's not as though like Domingo German is the one who was actually cheating. Aaron Judge is doing what he can to win. And I mean, he's a great ball player. So to me, it's kind of hard to be mad at Aaron Judge in this.
So do you feel like there was something because you said the Yankees got in trouble for using technology? What'd you say, 15 or 16? Do you feel like the Jays pin this on their calendar and they say, oh, they're doing something again, and this is, do you hear that kind of thing in the clubhouse, or do you hear that kind of talk leading up to a Yankees series?
I think there's a level of baseline suspicion between these two teams, or at least with the Jays toward the Yankees. And I think that that's not going to go away when, again, Domingo German, he was breaking the rules. And then the Yankees, they're on the Jays signs. They're clearly a very involved when it comes to looking for those tells, looking for those signs, and then relaying them. I mean, that can't be an easy thing to do. The Yankees are on that. I think part of this, too, is the Jays, in raising this alarm, they now let any other team that's about to play the New York Yankees know, hey, these guys are on this. And that may well be a well-known secret within the league. You guys would have a better sense of that than me, but I think that it's now going to be harder for the Yankees to pull something like this off against another team, and that's probably a good thing for the Jays.
Let's not forget Aaron Judge broke the maple leaf also in center field. So now all Canadians hate Aaron Judge, not just in Toronto. There it is. Look at that. Oh, man, he's going to be in trouble. No more Labatt's for him, eh?
That's right.
Hey, let's also be careful here. I've played in Toronto a ton of times, and there was one place where we went, multiple signs, change them every inning. We caught a guy doing some sneaky stuff in the outfield. So
AJ's being cryptic.
We caught a guy. We caught a guy in Toronto.
Man in white.
Standing up and down, doing with the camera, looking at the signs, the whole deal. So Toronto now, it doesn't have and Cito Gaston also, this is kind of well known in baseball. Cito Gaston's teams were one of the best at getting signs and relaying them. So Toronto's not exactly the best reputation inside of baseball as far as like prim and proper. We're not stealing signs.
Totally. And I think that this is one of those things where, especially you look at one of their big star players, George Springer, right? George Springer was on the Houston Astros team that was cheating when they won the World Series. So was Dave Hudgens, who's one of the Blue Jays coaches. So those are facts, right? And it's hard to probably find a team in this game that doesn't have, some sort of blemish on their record, if you want to call it that. And the Blue Jays are not exempt from that. So there's no question. Once you start pointing fingers, and I think this is what Aaron Boone was saying when he was telling Blue Jays third base coach Luis Rivera to get back in his third base coaching box, is like, once you start pointing fingers, then everyone's going to start pointing them at you. So the Jays have to be prepared for that.
Does this grow the game in Canada? Because this is what we're about. This is what our show's about, is growing the game. Does this type of drama happening at home in Toronto, does it grow the game?
I think it does. I think it's honestly pretty entertaining. And like, no one wants to spend a month talking about, stealing signs and third base coaching boxes. But I think for 24 hours, it's pretty entertaining. Like, I find it pretty fun. So I think it's good for the game. Anytime people are talking about baseball, caring about it. These are great teams. The Yankees, Aaron Judge, he's one of the great superstars in the game. You've got the Jays involved. They're a very good team. It's kind of fun. Like, no one, knock on wood, no one's being totally reckless here. People are, so there's a little sticky stuff or there's a sign being stolen. Everyone's okay. It's fun. It's entertaining. I think it's great.
Ben, since the Blue Jays have to be the story in Canada, right? Because there's no Canadian hockey teams left and they haven't won in a long time in Canada. So the Blue Jays are the story right now in Canada. Everyone, listen, we always said playing there that the Blue Jays were a sleeping giant, especially once Montreal was gone. You'd go in there and they were terrible, and there's 30,000 fans going crazy. And you're like, man, if they were ever good. And then they became good, and the place was insane. It was insane. I mean, loudest place you'd ever go. They'd have the roof closed, or when it was open, you'd look up and you'd see the people doing the skywalk on the CN Tower. Like, man, if that guy is way up there. But the Toronto fans are baseball crazy, and I am all here for it, because they are great fans and they are behind their Blue Jays.
Yeah, and like you say, at this point, Raptors are done, the Leafs are done, which is kind of the norm for this time of year for them, unfortunately. But it's about the Jays right now, and they have a chance in this market to really be an exciting team. They did some renovations to the ballpark. The attendance has been really good this year, 36,000 or so per game early on, even with school still in. So, you're right, AJ. I mean, I think it's a market that really likes baseball. They really like a good baseball team. This is a group too. They need to show it in the playoffs. They need to get back to the playoffs, and they need to show it there, because the Vlad and Bo Blue Jays, they've made it, but they haven't won a single playoff game. So now is the time for them to kind of, start doing that and start making some real runs here.
What would help is if Alek Manoah looks like himself, because right now he does not. I was looking at his strikeout percentages too. I mean, he actually peaked a couple years ago with that, which was his rookie season. I think it was 28%, then 23%, and now he's down in the teens somewhere. I've watched enough of him, not every pitch, but enough of him to see that slider does not look the same. What else do you see? And what's he saying? What?
Maybe he needs to find some Domingo German.
Find some sticky stuff?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know some people will.
I'm just kidding.
Anybody that doesn't look like the David statue, they're like, oh, the pitch clock, he can't handle it. I'm like, I don't really buy that. So what are you observing, and what's he saying? Because he's usually a pretty outspoken guy when he's allowed to be.
For sure. I mean, early in the season, he was saying that it was not a mechanical issue. He certainly acknowledged that it's frustrating. He still continues to express optimism that better things are ahead, and so do his coaches. So has GM Ross Atkins. When you look at it, to me, just on a kind of not going too granular, but just zooming out, I just look at the walks. And this is someone who's walked 32 batters in 45 innings. So that is just, you can't compete as a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball if you're walking that many hitters. It's just, no one does it. It's not sustainable. You're just giving up too many free base runners. And he's also hit 4 batters. So, it's basically every single inning, there's been a free pass of some kind. And he's got to find a better way to command the strike zone. I mean, I'm not talking about pinpoint command here. I just mean, you look at his last start, he actually threw more balls than strikes. So this is a really far distance from who he was last year. He's obviously capable of more. He's working behind the scenes to try to get to a better spot with that. But it is pretty perplexing when you watch him compared to where he was last year.
Does this team win a World Series in the next 3 years?
Man, oh wow. That's a tall ask to put on any team when you got the Dodgers, when you got Atlanta, when you got San Diego, so many good teams out there. I'm gonna say they'll make it to the World Series in the next 3 years. And
You didn't
can
wait.
they,
You
and
didn't
they could
name one
win
American League team. You
Yeah,
didn't
you didn't name
you
a
named
so you-
National League team.
So you
What about the
think
Yankees,
best-
the Rays,
the
White
Rays.
Sox?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
the White Sox.
Astros.
I think the Rays are really scary too. The Rays and the amount of pitching that they just, with Springs down and Rasmussen down, they just seem to keep. Okay, Glasnow's coming back. Like, they obviously have incredible pitching depth. Where they are in October with respect to their pitching is a really interesting question, but I think the Rays really are scary. I think the Jays will be in the World Series in the next 3 years, and they should be, right? 3 years, that's when Vlad and Bo hit free agency. After that, those guys can be gone. They might be wearing, well, not pinstripes in Vlad's case, but they might be playing for the Angels, or they might be playing for the Red Sox. Like, this is the chance for the Blue Jays to take advantage of some really, really talented young players.
You really think Vlad will definitely not go to the Blue Jays? 100%?
I think he definitely won't go to the Yankees, and then Jays.
I'm sorry, Yankees.
Yeah. I think 100% he will not go to the Yankees.
Do you have any other insight on that? Why? Like, or is it just like a play? Like,
His dad.
I'll take a shot.
I think it might connect to his dad, like you say. Like, I don't know, and honestly, he's indicated, because at first it kind of seemed like a really fun, like, oh, this is kind of playful. And then as he continued to talk about it, he's kind of indicated that it's actually like a personal thing that he doesn't want to get into. So I've tried to respect that. I haven't asked him, like, tell me the full story here, but I wouldn't be surprised that all of it connects to his dad.
And I will say that's what we're here for, because we have players that just don't give a shit. Kindly. I mean, if it's something really personal, I get it. But usually it's like, oh, I don't like that team. They didn't sign me. They didn't let my kid in the clubhouse, something like that. So I'm sure you'll be asking at some point, whether it's Vladdy Jr. or Vladdy Sr.
He's going to sign with the Yankees.
No.
That would be the biggest troll ever.
No. I'm with you. No chance. Hey, Ben, this was awesome. Too bad there's another game tonight. Enjoy it, and we appreciate the time. And, of course, you can catch Ben on SportsNet. I'll give the whole plug right after. But thanks, man. Have fun at the game tonight.
Looking forward to it. Good talking to you guys.
Thank you. Ben Nicholson-Smith with us, writes and reports for SportsNet. And you can also, of course, throw him a follow. Good conversation there. He's having a good time, as you can tell, at B Nicholson-Smith on Twitter. So we have Jesús Luzardo joining us soon. And also we'll get to some Mets and some Kumar Rocker coming up in just a bit. Do want to preview the games tonight as well, as we've been doing every day and adding it to the mix here. So it's time for Last Minute Game Time. Hit the app, grab tickets. It's sponsored by Game Time, best app on the planet for last minute game tickets. And if you don't have the app, go get it and put in the code when you go to account, FT Live, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. What did I say last night? I think I won, if it's a game, last night on which game you should go to. I was like, I am going to freaking Canada, and I'm getting a ticket, and I'm going into that ballpark, and I'm watching. Now, I couldn't go, but if I had the control there and I didn't have to do this show, I would have had the time of my life, because that was one of the better regular season games I've seen in a while. Just like you. I watch all the games, and often I'll flip around, or I'll watch, the multi-viewer kind of stuff. I mostly was hooked from that 7 to 10 range on Blue Jays Yanks. And guess what? Garrett Cole against Chris Bassett tonight. Are you kidding me? It's not just that they're both really good, and Cole's a Cy Young frontrunner at this point, but also they're both kind of outspoken, I would say, especially Bassett, right? Like, they're going to take this personal. I think they're those kind of guys. Some guys that go on the mound, they're just going to do their thing regardless of what's going on. Bassett and Cole know how much this game in the regular season means more than many others. So hell yes, I'm using my FT Live promo code to hit Blue Jays Yanks if I was you.
I like it.
Do you have something else?
I think that would probably be number one, but there's a couple other ones that kind of caught my eye.
Okay.
Besides this is kind of the obvious choice because of all that's happened the first two games. So if you can get your passport ready, Scott, I'll happily ship you to Toronto. I'll see you in a couple days. But for me, there's two other ones that really, as you look at the list here, Atlanta and Texas, Strider and Evaldi. There's going to be some punchies in that game. Power pitching, both teams strike out a ton, just a ton of punchies. And the other one for me, Milwaukee, St. Louis. We talked to Corbin Burns yesterday. He's pitching today. It's a big game for Milwaukee. They won last night with a bullpen game. The Cardinals have Liberatore pitching tonight. The Brewers have a chance to win this series and kind of say, hey, Cardinals, I know you're hot again, but guess what? We got our big boy going tonight. Stay down there for a little while. So for me, that's really the other game that is intriguing, because can the Brewers continue to keep the Cardinals down, especially after basically a bullpen game after Wade Miley got hurt last night?
And I'll add that the Rangers are playing really good ball. And
no one's talking about them either.
No one's talking about them. They're in first place, and they beat the Braves yesterday.
They beat them good.
They beat them good. Anything we're missing, Kratzy, that you need to snag a ticket for?
No, I mean, AJ snagged my ticket since he decided to go to 2 games, which is physically impossible, even on game time.
Not if I fly on Scott's private jet.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to tell Scotty he can use my private jet. He can fly up to Philly, pick me up, because I am going to Toronto. There might be some things you would have missed if you were at the game, but you wouldn't have missed Judge's homer. Just like tonight, you are not going to miss an absolute pitcher's duel with one above-average offense and one just kind of average offense. But these 2 guys are going to come out, especially with the extra juice in the stadium tonight. Love it. There's going to be traffic all around the Rogers Center tonight.
And the Mets game's being pointed out to me with the ghost fork on the mound, and see if the Mets.
Well, the only thing good about the Mets
anything.
is when they put the big giant race sign on their scoreboard last night.
Will that happen again?
Oh my God!
Stay tuned.
I'm sure Cohen's like, oh, okay, that's
you're fired.
Delete.
Well, the power went out apparently,
yes.
Right?
And why did it come onto a raise?
That's spooky. That's Pfister Hotel shit right there.
That's right. Jace Peterson.
So anyway, yeah, I think this is one we can very happily agree on, that all 3 of us, if we could right now, would be shipping up to Toronto and checking out the Yanks and the Blue Jays. So make sure you check out the Game Time app right now and hit FT Live promo code, please. AJ and me, you promised, are hitting the game soon. I got to look at the race schedule right after this and actually commit to the next one coming up. But I can do it last minute. I do it last minute.
As long as you buy me Burns before, I'll go.
Buy what?
Burns
Steakhouse.
Oh, okay, fine.
All right, perfect.
But just wanted to.
And we get in the wine? Perfect.
Yeah.
Dessert room?
Whatever you want.
We get the dessert room?
I don't know what I'm promising, but
you promised. Everyone heard it.
I'm busy on an app right now.
I heard of it. I promise.
With killer deals on last minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over tickets. Just get hyped for the fun that you're going to have. And also you can do it last minute, which is what I'm talking about here. So I'm just going to look up one day and be like, okay, we're driving to whatever the heck AJ wants to eat, and then we're going to the game, buying the tickets on Game Time. Game Time guarantee means you get the best price always. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, they'll credit you 110% of the difference. There's exclusive flash deals on tickets for concerts, sports, comedy, theater, more. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code FTLive. $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code FTLive, $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Now,
you have no idea what you just promised, do you?
What, your food and all that crap?
He has no idea.
Sure.
Burns is not an MTO place. It's not made to order. Like you're talking about a $2,000 for just AJ's meal.
In where is this located?
In Tampa.
In Tampa? It seems a little hefty. I think that's they need to check themselves.
They have a floor. They have a floor just for dessert. A whole floor. So you eat your dinner. It's steak, obviously, big steak place.
Yes.
You eat your steak, and then you go up the stairs, and you go into another room with all these little booths, and it's dessert only. And they have a notebook. It's a menu that's like this many pages of just desserts. And you just pick when you sit in their little booth and eat your just dessert.
How much is a steak?
I mean, it depends on which one you get.
How much is a steak that you would reasonably get?
I mean,
give me an example.
140-ish, but then you got to get in the wine because they have the greatest wine cellar in the world. The wine is where it's at.
Okay, so steak 140.
Then
wine.
you're a nice Bordeaux. You're going to buy me French Bordeaux.
No, I'm gonna.
No, you promised.
I'm picking out the bottle though. We can do a taste test. If you know the difference, then I'll get you another bottle. How about that
I
shit?
don't think they do that there.
Are you a connoisseur?
No.
So?
But you're buying, so how does it matter?
Nope, I'm picking that. You get to pick the and yes, the production staff pointing out the food allergies that I'm finishing that
You
I'm
can eat
dealing with.
steak?
Steak for sure. I
Perfect.
will crush steak.
No butter.
No butter is correct. Kratzy, you actually, speaking of games, do you have a double dip today?
No, not a double dip. I just got a dip
Oh.
early.
You have a makeup game or something?
Yeah,
was
we
earlier,
had a
no?
rain out. The one rain out this year. It's not like Florida. We don't get any rain up here this year. We just get wind and beautiful weather right now.
So do we. Knock on wood. I mean, I've been told like this is perfection
rain.
right now. It's barely raining lately.
It'll rain.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it'll start.
I know it'll
It'll
start,
rain.
but it already usually does start.
No, June-ish.
Okay.
Right whenever my kids' travel ball tournament start, which is Memorial Day. Boop.
Your kid's school doesn't have a retractable roof?
Not yet.
Kratzy, we got Jesús Luzardo joining us in a couple minutes. Actually, we have you till 2, or you got to go right now?
Yeah.
You have 5 minutes?
I do.
Okay, so you get to pick because we'll do one before Luzardo and one after. You want to talk about the Mets mess or Kumar Rocker?
Let's talk about Kumar Rocker because the Mets, they got a gift from the Yankees. The gift is all the drama from the Yankees. The Mets, we've hit on, they're just bleh, and they had their chance last night not last night. Yeah, it was last night with Verlander on the mound, and I had my chance to go plus 135 with the Rays, beating them, and I didn't. So pretty much the Mets will Met and Eric will Eric. So no, let's go Kumar.
Tommy John surgery. This is a guy who's actually been through a lot as a prospect. Was really good at Vanderbilt. Number 6 prospect for Texas. First-round pick last year. Torn ligament in his right elbow. And he's going to undergo Tommy John surgery. So a tough loss for them. And one of the top 100 prospects, depending on where you're looking in the sport. Also notable last year was that they were able to get a discounted bonus on him. That's all the finagling that goes on in the draft. That allowed them to pick up Brock Porter in the 4th round, who was a very big deal and is continuing to be a big deal right now. I mean, I know he's an A-ball, but he looks filthy. So it was a nice pitching pickup there. A little, not 2-for-1 action, but you know what I'm talking about.
Let's not forget, the Mets weren't the Mets the ones that drafted Rocker originally, and he didn't sign because of his elbow.
Correct.
So
then he went higher.
So even though Kumar's on the Rangers, as Eric said, they still screwing the Mets. The Mets are still.
Yeah, but the Mets, it's making the Mets, I don't want to say look good, but it's making their medicals, because it was bad press because you draft a guy and he wants to go there and they had agreed to a bonus, but then they check him out and they're like, I'm not really feeling good about this. So then he goes back in the draft. The next year he had to wait and play some, indie ball. Yep. And then he goes number 3 overall, which actually was one of the biggest shockers. Yeah, people were shocked. People were like, where is he going? But nobody saw 3. So hope
the Red Sox liked it.
Recovers quick, you know?
Yeah, the Red Sox liked it. The Red Sox liked the fact that they got to pick Marcelo Meyer, who is an absolute stud at 4, because everybody else chose, I think Joe, was the guy's name Job or something? Because obviously Henry Davis was the first one, and then I think it was Job Jackson or Jackson Job, and then Kumar. But my thing, and I don't know that anybody specifically said this, like, I don't like the whole, like, ooh, I'm taking a picture of this guy I'm about to draft. Like, you either want him or you don't. Everybody, to me, is at the same risk injury. And I don't like when they're like, oh, well, we'll take a discount from your signing bonus. Oh, will you? Will you give me a bonus when I absolutely ball out? Or if I make it to the big leagues in a year and a half? Like, I don't like, and I don't know what the answer is to it. I don't like seeing young guys that aren't even in the league yet. And I hope this is where we'll get more with the CBA, with the minor leaguers joining in with the big leaguers in the PA and the Players Association. But I don't like that they're like taking a picture, because AJ's body feels like it is in incredible condition. If you take pictures of his ligaments and knees and stuff, some things might not look exactly how it feels to him. So to me, it's like, I don't like that part of it. I don't like the fact, look, if you want him, you want him. If not, like, move on. Don't be like, I want a discount because he's dented.
No, that's fair. There was a lot to do, and this show didn't exist back then with that whole story. So And we'll have more time to get into it. And by the way, Jackson Jobe, who you're talking about, he's dealing with a lumbar spine injury at the moment. Kratzy, you got a dip. Not the Herman kind of dip, but we'll see you tomorrow, dude. Exactly.
Yes, you will. Appreciate it, boys.
Later, man. Okay, and now let's bring in our first player guest of the day, Jesús Luzardo from the Miami Marlins, joining us right now. And I've been told, too, because I've interviewed you before, Jesus, but I've been told I can call you Zeus. So is that the nickname flying around? And has that been your nickname your whole life, or that's a Marlins thing?
Yeah, no, it's good to be here with you guys. And that's been my nickname since I was like 9 years old. So it's kind of hung around with me forever, and then it stuck with me through pro ball.
Awesome. Well, yeah, it's great to talk to you. Appreciate the time. And how's life in South Florida right now while you guys just kind of dance around under the radar there?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're rolling along, playing good baseball, and I feel like the team's doing what we need to do and taking the positive steps that we need to. So everything's good over here.
This is one of my more excited interviews to do with Jesus because he's from Peru. And one of my favorite places I've ever been is Peru. So I got to ask him. I know you moved to Florida when you were young, but have you been to Peru?
Honestly, no, I haven't. I went back one time for maybe like a couple days. My sister had a swim meet there when I was real young, but my whole family's actually Venezuelan. So I went back to Venezuela a lot growing up, but I only went back to Peru one time for a couple days.
What's the story there? Because you're the first Peruvian-born player in Major League Baseball. Like you mentioned, your parents are Venezuelan, and then you moved to Miami when you were one. So, which is also cool on a side note as a Marlins fan. But what was the trajectory for you as a kid?
Well, for me, so my parents, obviously my whole family's Venezuelan. They had to move to Peru for 3 years for a job that my dad got. And then in those 3 years I was born, and then we moved over for the same job. My dad got moved over to South Florida, and then I just grew up down here.
Interesting. Well, if you ever get back to Peru, make sure you go to Machu Picchu. It's unbelievable.
I did. That was the 3 days that we were there. I made sure I stopped there. So, but I was also about 10 to 12 years old, so I don't remember much. I wish I can go back.
So you didn't get the altitude sickness when you're climbing up and down the steps? I
was struggling. I was struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
No, it's a beautiful place.
Peruvian food for me also
Peruvian
top three period of a meal for me.
Oh.
I find it in the U.S. all the time whenever I can. You find like some authentic Peruvian.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and you can tell I haven't eaten yet today. So first off,
Venezuelan food's not bad either now.
No, agreed. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
That whole South American cuisine.
So how cool is it to be on the Marlins though? Because you grew up a Marlins fan, right? Like who was your favorite player growing up? What's the whole deal when you were playing baseball in Florida?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I grew up rocking the number 9 because of Juan Pierre. That was my guy. And it's funny, actually, he lives in the town that I went to high school at, and I grew up in Parkland. So it's cool, kind of full circle for me playing here. And I grew up, like you said, a Marlins fan. So Juan Pierre, Luis Castillo, Dontrell Willis, Anibal Sanchez, Josh Beck. I mean, all those guys. Those guys were. I remember going skipping school with my dad, and we'd go watch a game every once in a while. So it brings back good memories for sure.
Have you met those guys? Spoken to any of them?
Yeah, I mean, Juan Pierre, I have. Dontrell Willis, I have. I haven't had the chance to meet some of the other guys, but I'm sure I will soon. I hope so.
Juan Pierre, was he eating ice cream when you saw him? Because that dude ate like 12 ice cream bars a day and still had like an 8-pack.
Did you play with him?
Yeah. So Juan Pierre literally had an 8-pack, and he'd be like this with ice cream bars all day long, just eating ice cream all day. I'm like, dude, how are you so skinny? He's like, genetics, dog. I'm like, I guess so. Damn. And he'd be at the field. I don't know, because I know he still comes around the Marlins Park a lot, but he'd get to the field at like 11 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game, be out there running sprints.
That's why he's got the 8-pack.
I'm like, dude, what are you doing? That's 11 o'clock.
I haven't seen him eat any ice cream bars, but I don't doubt it. I mean, that dude's in great shape, and it doesn't surprise me though.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite dudes I've ever played with. I used to tell him all the time, I'm like, Juan, think about this. You're allergic to the ball in left field. We tell him to just get out of the way and let the center fielder come catch it. Because every time he go like this, he run back and be like, Juan, dude, just get out of the way, let our center. No, dog, I'm good, dog. I'm like, Juan, please. Please, Juan. He's the best. He's the best. So you went to Stoneman Douglas. high school, which everyone knows Stoneman Douglas, not only for the tragedy that happened there, especially from people that are from Florida like myself. Stoneman Douglas is really good in baseball. They're the number one team in the state. They haven't lost in like 2 years. Was Fitzgerald still there when was he the coach when you were there?
Yeah, he was actually kind of the reason I went there. Well, I mean,
Oh, so he recruited you. He recruited you.
Not necessarily. No, I wouldn't say that. It's actually in my backyard. So I went to American Heritage, another school down here for middle school. He was the coach there. He ended up going over to Stoneman Douglas when I was in 8th grade. So the next year was going to be my freshman year, and it just made more sense. I literally could walk to school. It was probably like half a mile walk to Stoneman Douglas. My sister went there, so I ended up going there, and we had a pretty good team when I was there my senior year. We ended up winning the national championship, and even if you look at them now, they're just running over teams. I think they won last night 10-1, and I think they're 27-0 this year. I mean, it's incredible what they're doing over there.
Yeah, tell John Jay when you see him that they beat Columbus last night 10-1.
Oh yeah,
make sure you rub that into him, okay?
We just had that conversation before I walked in here.
Okay, good.
Yeah, how is John Jay doing? Because he's real fresh off the field and hopped right into obviously a good situation for him location wise as well. And we're both tight with Jay because he's always been 305 till I die.
Oh yeah, no, he's doing well. I mean, we love to have him here. Great guy to have in the clubhouse, especially he's a coach, so he's taking on that role really well and helping out a lot of the younger guys and a lot of the outfielders. Just kind of teaching them the little tips that helped him stay in the league for so long and have such a successful career. So we're super thankful for him. And me being a South Florida guy, I love having him around.
So let's get into some Marlins stuff. So first
hold on. I got something about John Jay before you go into the Marlins.
Okay.
Has John Jay, because I did your game a couple weeks ago and he was still acting like a player. I know Skip has to tell him all the time he's not a player. Has any of your players actually said, hey, John, you're not a player anymore? He's out there with the pants pulled up and the tights on. He's taking grounders at shortstop. I'm like, dude, you're a coach. Go out in the outfield and help your outfield. He's like, nah, man, nah. You know me. I'm just having fun.
Yeah, I mess with him all the time about him shagging. He power shags every day, and he's the most serious shagger I've ever seen. I mean, this dude is sweating by the time the second group's rolling around. So, it cracks me up. But, I'm sure a lot of guys do watch and take, like, pointers on him because he's chasing balls down like it's nothing out there.
It's unbelievable.
I did not know that. That's good shit. So what's the key to this team winning so many one-run games right now? Is it still, when we covered it last week, undefeated? Because I know obviously yesterday was a one-run win with Solaire's absolute tank as a walk-off for you guys. But are you guys still undefeated on one-run wins?
I think we got a one loss. We lost one. Okay. It might have been two games ago, maybe. The last one against Cincinnati, I think it was. We lost that one.
What's been the key? What is it? Late game clutchness from the hitting? Does it have more to do with the bullpen holding down one-run games? What have you seen?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think we have a good mix. Like so far, a couple of games have been like you saw last night. We big comeback. We had Soler hit the walk-off bomb. We have had Segura with walk-off in the past. Come from behind. And then in addition to that, our bullpen's been nails lately. And just being able to hold it down. And once the starter comes out of the game, it feels like they're not giving up any runs. So, in the odd chance that they do give up a couple runs, our offense has been able to pick them up. So, we're hoping to keep that rolling.
Who's the best team in the National League East right now?
Well, that's a good one. Are you talking it all? It depends who you ask. If you ask me, I'm always going to say the Marlins. But, if you ask someone else, they might tell you the Braves statistically. But I feel like, on the baseball field, you always have to believe that you're the best on there. So that's I feel like that's the way we think.
I'll make it easier then. Outside of your own bias, what's the best that you've seen in the division and just in total now as we're at the quarter pole of the season where you're like, oh shit, this team's really good?
Yeah, the Braves are a tough team. You can't knock what they've done over the last 162 games, dating back to last year. I feel like their lineup 1-9 is just a gauntlet. Basically, they don't give you a break. Really, there's no easy out, I guess you could say. And their starters, their bullpen, everyone's doing what they have to do, and they just make it tough on you and grind you away. So for me, they're a very tough team, and clearly they're the front runners right now.
Okay, next up for me is we hyped this a lot. We weren't there, but we watched. Yuri Perez. What was that experience like for him? Like, take me through the whole thing and what you were able to observe behind the scenes, because we got a little peek of Alcantara giving him the video message for the call up. Picking him up from the airport is really first class teammate love, which we really thought was cool. And then, of course, his debut, seeing the first strikeout, his parents watching from home, like setting up the TV on the street with the fam. So what was all of that like from your perspective to be able to watch that on a day you don't get to pitch, so you really get to take in an experience like that, which you've gone through before?
Yeah, no, it was really cool to see. I mean, Yuri's such a good kid. I didn't know him until spring training this year, but when I got to meet him, I really got a chance to like see. He's such a good kid and a humble kid, and he's not. I guess some guys come up and they think they're a 10-year vet right away, but he's the man. He's humble, works hard. We like to call him Sandy Jr. He's Sandy's son, basically. That's what I call him, because Sandy takes him under his wing, and and he did a good job of giving him tips and calming him down, and Yuri listens real well to him. So, but I mean, it was impressive, watching him go out and control his emotions and do what he does, and pitch at a high level and keep us in a ball game. It was awesome to watch, and I was really happy for him. Hopefully, he has that continued success.
Are you a vet now? Are you the guy that he can go to and say, hey, Yuri, listen, kid, I've been around a long time. I had to play for the A's. Okay. I know a lot I'll tell you about bad things. Okay.
No, I mean, I'm definitely not a vet by any means at all, but but I still consider myself one of the young guys, and I still have a lot to learn. But I definitely did try to give him a couple tips here and there. I have taken my lumps and my bumps in my road so far, and just little whatever I can do to help him to minimize those bumps for him is what I'll do.
Okay, that's good. So the A's, you played for him, you got traded from him. You got traded to him, then you got traded away from him. What was it like playing there? What was it like? And I've seen some of your comments about you. There were some things you said, which fine. They got rid of you. You can say whatever you want. What was it like? And do you look back on that and say, okay, it sucked, but it taught me a lot? Or do you look back and say, man, I just wish things would have worked out better? What's your feelings on them?
No, I have no feelings of it sucked at all. I had some of the best times, probably my best memory in baseball, pitching in a playoff game in a packed coliseum. I made some extremely good friends, like relationships over there. Like Sean Manaea, Chris Bassett, Frankie Montas, those guys to me were like older brothers, and they like whipped me into shape. Yusmeiro Petit. I got AJ Puck over here now with us, but he became like my best friend, my roommate for 3 years over there. I definitely learned a lot. People definitely say that the Coliseum is bad and it's all these different things, but like when you play there and you become it and you like submerge yourself in it, I feel like I really loved playing over there, and just like the grittiness of Oakland and having teams go there and hate to play us over there because of how bad it was. So I enjoyed my time over there. I obviously wish I had more success while I was over there, but I have nothing bad to say about that organization.
Are you in the text group? Like Bassett was on with us recently and said he's still got a text group going with a number of the guys, and how they kind of reminisce, but also feel bad about the current situation because they're going to be moving, and it's just tough times there. I mean, they're not a good team. They're not really getting taken care of.
Yeah, no, I'm in that group. It's a fantasy football group.
Yes.
From the one I know, at least. Maybe I'm not in the other one, but no, yeah. I mean, we reminisce a lot. I know I kind of came up at the end towards that Chapman, Olsen, all that group, but I felt like those guys helped me a lot when I got up, and I became friends with all of them, and definitely kind of sucks to see the situation that's going on over there at times now, especially with just like the coaches and the development and the people that I knew still over there. But I mean, obviously they're playing better ball now, so it's good to see them succeeding.
Dude, you said you weren't a vet. You've answered these questions like a vet. You've given the standard no hard feelings. They're playing better ball. They got 10 wins finally, so they're playing great ball. Yeah, there's like nobody probably left that you even played with over there.
He's happy to be where he's at.
Very few guys. Yeah, very few guys I played with.
But the thing is think about the teams that they had, and if they could have kept them together.
Stacked.
Wow.
I mean, when I came up, it was Trinan was our closer, had like a 0.8. You had Trevino with like a 0.9 as a setup. Petit was locked down at all times. The bullpen was nails, basically. You had Diekman, left-handed specialist, Chappie at third, Olsen at first, Lariano in center. I mean, the starters were all gross. It was incredible. When I came up, I felt like my first month I couldn't even talk because I was so nervous to like step on anyone's toes. But then it was the clubhouse over there was so it was just so welcoming. The group of guys that we had at the time were amazing.
So, do you look at being traded as a plus because there are a lot of teams that want you?
I mean, I feel like there's definitely ways to look at it. I was upset at the time when I got traded just because of how I had struggled, and I felt like I know I had said in the past, I felt like they'd given up on me after a couple of bad months, which was understandable. I did have, the worst year of my career by far. But then I was lucky enough to be traded over here, which was a good situation for me. Just being close to home, being close to my family, working with Mel, the pitching coach here. Mel's helped me an incredible amount, and I feel like he got me back on track.
Before we let you go, I have one last question for you. I've read all this stuff online. You hurt your hand playing video games. Was it Guitar Hero? You were jamming? Was it you're playing the drums on Rock Band?
Nothing like that.
Fortnite, you got mad and you punched the table?
No, he's a nice
I don't
guy.
have a big temper tantrum. I don't lash out like that. I mean, it was a stupid accident, a mistake, and I I had to take full responsibility for it, and I still do. But it's definitely something in my past, and it definitely won't happen again. I can tell you guys that.
So what was it? Because I just read you hurt your hand playing video games.
Yeah, I mean, I hit my hand on the edge of the table while I was playing video games, and that's basically it. I hit it in an extremely funky and like the wrong spot, the wrong time, and I wish I didn't. Maybe if I hit it in a different spot, it would have been just a bone bruise, not even. But it broke, so it is what it is.
And it's back to full strength.
I mean, it's one of the it sucks, but it's one of the all-time injuries you've ever heard of.
In baseball, there's a billion.
I know, but that's one of them. I broke my finger playing video games.
Who was it the other day? Did you see? You know who I'm talking about? Who had the injury the other day? Like a random one. I'll get it.
Okay.
I have.
I mean, it's like the guy picked up a suitcase and hurt his back.
Yeah, you got that stuff in baseball.
Trevor Bauer cut his fingers on playing with his drones.
Yeah, well. Yeah. That you're asking for it.
I still get questions all the time when I'm shagging. I'll get a little kid ask me what game did I hurt my hand on. So
what game was it?
I couldn't even tell you. It wasn't even like out of anger. It was more of like I just like hit it in the wrong spot at the wrong time. It wasn't like out of anger towards any game or anything like that. I was very relaxed, if anything.
You're not a rage quitter, as my kids call it. You're not a rage quitter where you get mad, you just quit.
Does he seem like one?
No, not at all.
I get more frustrated. I would get way more frustrated on a pitching mound than I would at a video game. I'll tell you that. And I've never punched anything after a bad outing. So
that's good.
As you should.
Keep it that way, please.
There's a lot of fan questions here, so I'll pick like 2 or 3 quick hitters. Okay. From Rico, since you've been in the AL and NL, which ballpark is best visiting clubhouse?
Ooh, best visiting clubhouse. Wow, it's a good one. I'm trying to think of some. I mean, the Yankees had incredible food, so I'd have to say Yankees.
That's popular in our group too, right? Wasn't that the pick from us?
That was the pick,
yeah.
I said Tampa, but that's okay.
You're a Florida bias.
Cuban sandwiches are good too.
Hey, that's what I said.
Yes, that's true. I did hear that. TC said, ask Jesus if he's going to be attending some Heat games against the Celtics.
I hope so. I mean, we're going on a 12-day road trip, so it'll be a little tough. But hopefully they make it, long enough for us to come back and be able to make some games. But I hope so.
Yeah, I think with that trip, he needs an NBA Finals appearance then.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad.
Although the NBA does play like once every 4 days.
True.
Right. The NBA does play like once every 4 days. So by the time you guys get back from the 12-day road trip, you might be on like game 3.
That's true. And last one from Brandon. What's it like having a front row seat to guys like Arise and Sandy?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. First off with Arise, I mean, it feels like every time he gets up, it's an automatic knock. Watching him hit for the cycle and just like seeing the pitches that he hits, it's incredible. He'll spray it all over. He'll take any pitch you throw in the zone, out of the zone, he'll spray it all over. So it's incredible. And watching Sandy, obviously, I feel like I take a lot. I I pick up a lot from him, the way he handles certain situations, the way he attacks certain guys. Obviously, we're different pitchers and with different stuff, but his mentality and the way he goes about his business is second to none. So I'm a big fan of watching, being able to sit here and watch.
I'm a big Arise guy, you know.
Yes, you are. You love Arise. He thinks Arise is the greatest player since.
No, he does. He is Jesus probably seeing this firsthand. One of the most unique ball players because
100%.
it's a different at bat. The way that he's able to, I don't know if it's like toying with pitchers, but he doesn't miss anything.
No, you're right. Bat to ball.
If he punches out, it's almost like we're in shock.
Yeah.
So is Scott.
Trust me.
So is Scott. Trust
I am.
Me.
What? You lied. You said you were done. You had
no,
one
I have
more?
one more quick question for you. Sorry, this popped up because we were talking about Arise. WBC. I was at the Venezuela USA game in Miami. Is that the best game you've ever been a part of? The most exciting game? Because for me as a fan watching it, it was off the charts.
Yeah, I mean, the energy, the whole WBC, but that game, especially the energy, and even being on the wrong side of that game was incredible. Just to watch, the atmosphere, see all the emotion. Like, you see these big guys like Trout, you see Turner, you see Mookie Betts, and showing all this emotion that you probably haven't seen them show before, and see how much that means to them. It was incredible to see, and I mean, even from our side when we were up, and how exciting those games were. It was such a fun time for me. It was an incredible experience.
Did you ever think about telling Quijada to calm down?
No, I love that.
Dude, he struck out.
Didn't
he strike out at the end of the
ripping his shirt.
Oh, he's like, rah! And then the USA's like, okay, we see you. Trey Turner's like, okay, we got you now.
That's not why he.
I know, but he was off the charts, crazy.
Yeah,
which was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, no, he's a guy that kind of he needs that fire to succeed. So, I mean, I kind of liked it, to be honest. It kind of brought out the WBC energy that was going on in the stands. It felt like it was on the field.
I'm with you.
Hey, I agree. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. Hey, Zeus, great having you on. We appreciate the time and good luck. We're watching, man.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Jesús Luzardo, pitcher for the Miami Marlins, joining us right there. Quijada was awesome.
He was
awesome.
But there's a little bit.
Obviously, he wasn't awesome in that moment.
No,
but
it was awesome the inning before when
he was fun to watch in the WBC.
And was yelling at the USA bench, and they're like, "Okay, we see you. This game's not over." I mean, Trey Turner didn't hit the home run off him, but they got a couple guys on, and you could see him start.
A little chirping.
Yeah, which is fine.
Chirping's
it's
good.
Great.
We love chirping.
I love chirping.
Yeah. By the way, Luzardo has nasty stuff.
Yes, he does. He's been kind of that super prospect for a long time.
Yes, I agree. Okay, let's do picks because then we have Lance Lynn coming up, and there's a lot to cover with Lance. We're doing a big-ass giveaway, which we actually just announced. So if you want to check out our Twitter right now, you can get involved. And especially if you're watching right now, you subscribe. So you're already basically automatically entered. You just have to show a screenshot that you're a subscriber to this show. So that's all I'll say. But there's a giveaway. It involves AJ and Lance. And we're going to ask Lynn all about sticky stuff, Herman, the whole deal. Because he likes talking about that stuff. I cannot wait to hear about that. He also has said, fuck the sweeper.
He did say that.
I looked at his slider percentage.
Gone to nothing?
He hasn't used it. And I think it's 1% on the year.
Good. Because last time he threw it, he gave up a 3-run homer. He said he's never thrown it again.
No, he threw it in
Man
the trash.
of his word, Lance.
Yeah.
He's also mixed in salads.
We got to ask him about
it's coming up.
His birthday. Yeah. Oh, I forgot. We talked to him right before Steve Stone called him out. Okay. I'm excited. All right. Let's do our picks. First off, it's our BetMGM locks of the day. First, we will backtrack. So you and me, the lone survivors.
Yesterday?
Yeah. Kip lost with his parlay. Went Brewers money line, lost that part alone. And I don't remember what the final score was, but I think it was the under.
3-2.
Yeah, it was the under 2. So double loss. Doesn't matter. Nerfy for Kratz. He's got to move on from the Nerfies.
Ryan Mountcastle, thank you, from Oviedo, as
hitting that over.
As Jason Benetti called it this weekend on my gift show. Oviedo, right outside Orlando, 3-run homer late.
He said Oviedo?
He said Oviedo. I had to correct
How do you spell it?
Oviedo. Oviedo.
Oviedo. So that's why he said Oviedo.
Yes. I said it's Oviedo.
Okay. That's what you're here for. And I picked on the same game. Baltimore won.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. Angels aren't that good. So. battled the bullpens.
Crawling back slowly.
Getting there.
been a
Wow.
long crawl.
What a damn climb for you, 12 and 13.
I was like 3-11 or something at one point.
Kratz is actually incredible to follow because I love him to death, but he's Fade City.
Just do it opposite. You'd be up $2,217.
You'd be absolutely 22-9 dominating. I'm trying to outdo his reverse.
You're close.
Right? I'm 22 and 13. Okay, let's do our locks of the day for Wednesday, presented by BetMGM. And keeping in mind the rules, as always, the locks are limited because we can't pick the day games. About half of them are day games. So I will. You want me to start?
Yeah. Well, you're doing Kratz's too, right?
Yes, I can refer to Kratz's.
Why don't you start with Kratz's? Because mine's kind of complicated.
Yours is. Oh, you picked a parlay.
I did a parlay today.
Okay. So, wait, I'm trying to remember what Kratz's was. He did give me the explanation. So, he went Cole.
Mm-hmm.
He went the under on Cole's
Strikeouts.
punch-outs at all kinds of fancy numbers. So we did a Twitter Spaces for like 45 minutes this morning, just opening up questions for people's voices to actually ask us questions as opposed to doing the YouTube chat like we usually do. And that's at plus 110. I presented a case for why it could be an issue, and I'm fading it. And the main reason I'm fading it is I understand the strikeout questions. Here's my, in terms of the numbers that he put together, and that the Jays are not going to swing and miss as much against his pitches, right? He was picking out some of the pitches that might not fool the Jays, and I think Vladdy Jr.'s got great numbers against him. I got two issues. This is the Yanks stopper. He knows that this is not a run-of-the-mill regular season game, not even a run-of-the-mill division rival game. This is heated. This is personal. I think that creates a couple extra strikeouts for me for Garrett Cole. That's one. The bigger reason, this is amazing. Kratz isn't on. I'm just fading the shit out of him.
Yeah, you're proving why not to bet with
The
him.
biggest reason is he's probably going to go an extra inning or two than maybe you'd expect.
Pitch last night.
Their whole bullpen pitch last night. Now there's so many layers here. They're down a pitcher too, or they're going to be. They didn't announce him on suspension yet, but they're going to, and you lose a roster spot. So this is prime Cole. Give me 7 or more.
The only thing the Blue Jays do against him, they swing early. That's why they don't strike out.
Okay.
They get a fastball and they swing at it. They put it in play. That's why he's thinking, and he gave all these numbers on Twitter Space Live that he only got 6, and he gave I don't know. And I was like, have you ever you over research these?
He said in his last 7 starts against the Jays, he hasn't had more than 6 strikeouts.
Exactly. It's a lot of research.
And it's 6.5. So for me, like Bo Bichette last year, almost half of first pitches he was swinging at. He's dropped that number down pretty significantly. It's in like the 35%.
Yeah, but a guy like Garrett Cole, you don't want to mess around. You don't want to get to 2 strikes because then you got a greater chance of punching out, clearly.
True.
So get him early. If he throws you a fastball, whack it.
Fair. For me, I'm going Seattle. They're plus 110 against Boston. Seattle won the first game. Boston smacked him yesterday with an upset over Luis Castillo. For me, I'm pretty even on this pitching matchup tonight in very different ways. Brian Bayo has better stuff. There's no doubt, higher potential, but he still has had a lot of inconsistency to his game right now, even if he picks up some punch outs. For me, Marco Gonzalez is like the classic. I'm going to go into your ballpark. I'm going to give you 5 or 6. You're going to look up and be like, we only got 2 runs off of that, stuff-wise. So I think he's going to hold down the fort, and then battle of the bullpens. I'm picking Seattle. I also think their offense is better than what it's shown overall, so I'm not trying to overthink this one. I just think Mariners lost yesterday. I'm going plus 110 odds. I like it. A hundo to win 110. All right, what's your fancy schmancy bet here?
Well, I also like Brian Bayo over 5.5 punch outs.
Okay, but that's not your lock.
That is not my lock, but that is one that I looked at as my lock. But as we showed the money bags, and I'm minus 375. So I'm betting 300 because originally when I made this parlay, it was plus 130. Someone else must think it's good because it went down to plus 120. So it's Nate Eovaldi over 6 punch outs against the Braves because they punch out a lot and he punches out a lot. And then Spencer Strider over 8 strikeouts. Parlay, same game, both of them. Going to be a lot of punchies in that game.
Eovaldi's over 6.
Over 6.
Yeah.
And Strider over 8.
Yes.
Now, Strider hasn't had a game this year where he hasn't struck out less than 8. And the Rangers strike out a ton. And so do the Braves. So because of that, over 8, over 6, plus 120. I was hoping to be plus 130 because when I win, I'll be in the positives at 500. I was trying to get in the positives, so I'm betting 300 to win 360. But gosh darn it, they changed the odds on me, and now I'm still going to be in the negatives after I win.
Well, yeah, you need 2 things to hit.
That's okay.
Okay.
I
No, I'm with
I
you.
need a Ryan Mountcastle to hit a 3-run homer in the 7th, and he did it.
You need a lot of punchies tonight.
It'll be punchy.
For me, I was just notified by one of our dudes, Toasty, that it is Brian Bayo's birthday. It's like, how are you going to do that on his birthday?
I didn't.
I'm not necessarily. It might be a 2-2 ball game hitting the 7th.
Hey, can you find out what the odds of my parlay would be if I had Brian Bayo over 5.5?
Me? Yes, usually, but not when I'm hosting the show. So I will look at some point. So let's swing actually a new promo at you. BetMGM players are going to receive a bonus bet to use on any sport. And the bonus bet's going to be given to players on Wednesdays and Saturdays. What's today?
Wednesday.
Correct. Log into your account, the app, or the website. You'll receive a bonus bet automatically. It's like the best promo ever. You don't have to do anything. If you're lazy, just log in and it pops up. It can only be used on any sport wagers, and the bonus bet will expire after 72 hours, so don't wait. Log in, redeem your bet. Always bet responsibly. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So one other thing I want to get to, as Lance Lynn is going to be ready in like 2 minutes, and also load up questions too if you have any for Lance right now, and we'll ask him on the show.
Lance always holds his tongue, so I'm sure he won't have an honest answer for you.
No, never. No. Total veteran response, right? Sometimes you can tell when we have guys on the show who's got a contract and who's been in the league for a while and who doesn't. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Okay.
Some guys just don't care.
True. Or some guys just give you real talk, which is what we appreciate. Hey, 2 minutes on the Mets, and then we'll bring in Lance. Because we've been making fun of them, but we didn't actually get to talk about them. And I'm still in the same mode that I've been in. I stick to, for the most part, my beliefs on teams, right? Hard on the Pirates suck. Hard on the Cardinals will be okay. Hard on right now, Mets are okay. Are they great? No. Are they going to win the division? No. Are they going to be a wild card contender? Yes.
Fair.
Do they ride on Verlander and Scherzer too much? Yeah, but that's because they're paying them more than other teams are paying their entire ball club. You're relying on those two guys. And yes, technically on the position player side, and we've talked about this, I feel like a broken record, but it's Lindor, it's Alonso, it's Nimmo, it's Kip talking about lack of leadership, which got a lot of play on social media, and Mark Vientos is getting called up. The Mets fans have been saying, bring up the young guys. We need to change things. And we talked about that yesterday, and look, they're answering the bell. Vientos getting a call up. Not much left for him to do in the minor leagues. So here he comes again to try and not save the day, but play better ball for this club. And Brett Beatty has had his ups and downs so far with the ball club. He homered yesterday. They have some good position player prospects. They're going to start, even if they don't have spots, they're going to figure out spots for them right now. It's time to push, not the panic button, but the make moves button. And we've talked about, hey, Vogelback, he's a Florida dude. He's a Fort Myers guy. But, like, there's better dudes behind him. So it's time.
It is time. But the question is, will Buck Showalter, he's a veteran guy. He's a veteran manager that likes veterans around because he knows what he's going to get out of them.
He has veterans, though, already.
I know. That's why. Why do you think they have them? Why do you think they have them? You think Buck Showalter's going to a team and they're going to be like, hey, Buck, we're going to rebuild for the next 2 years. Buck's like, screw that. I'm trying to win a ring.
But young players can help win rings, too.
They can. You're right.
If they can swing the bats like some of these guys have been doing in the minors, let's at least try it out. So
I'm all for it.
They're going to bring guys out.
Yesterday. They need to do it, and they need to do it quickly because they're fading.
Verlander got smashed.
He
socked Paredes 2 homers. They booed everyone yesterday.
Yeah, but he got the brunt of it. And to his credit, he gave the right quotes. I'd boo me too. The whole I didn't pitch very well. I need to be better. We need to be better. The perfect veteran quotes, but it sucks when you get booed at your home stadium.
Yeah.
It sucks. I don't care who you are.
Good accountability though.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also he's been there and he turns it around. He's done it many times.
He pitched great last time out.
I'm just saying I wouldn't worry
want to
too
pitch
much.
against the Rays though.
And Max actually looked good last time out.
I just don't want to.
The Rays are just really good.
Yeah,
Newsflash.
Nobody wants to pitch against them.
Exactly. Hey, let's bring in our next guest, our friend Lance Lynn from the White Sox, joining us right now. Too bad there's nothing to talk about today. Lance, how you doing, man? You traveling? You're not driving though. Just you always have to do the disclaimer before you start.
No, I'm at the ballpark in the players' lot, so just chill.
I was wondering if you were in the drive-thru getting a salad somewhere for us.
Yeah, there's no drive-through salad places I've found on the way to the ballpark, unfortunately.
You know, it was funny. So last time we had you on was like, 3 weeks ago. and I brought up how there's some dumb local radio hosts that are like calling out reasoning for, oh, why isn't Lance pitching well? Like maybe it's the pitch clock or something. Remember, I asked you that, and I was like, yo, I'm seeing some crap. And you were like, yeah, I always work fast. I'm good. And then, of course, Steve Stone calls you out a few hours later. So people were like, oh, did you ask him because of that? And I was like, no, we just were paying attention to other things and asked him. So we asked the question and got it out of the way before the shitty comment was made, which obviously you had a good time with.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like you said, there's going to be people that make up narratives in their head, and then, they speak, out of turn on things they don't know anything about. And that's what happened during that time.
See, he's a veteran. He answers so veteran.
No, he said like they had a conversation.
I know right? The whole story. We talked about it the other day when I did their game on Saturday.
Can you give us a little bit on a show here? Like, so, I mean, just for broadcaster purposes.
Steve apologized and he accepted his apology.
It's that simple. He just went to him and said, hey, my bad. I wasn't thinking. Did you like...
Well, Lance charged up to the booth and threatened him. He had him by the neck over the railing. And Steve's like, I'm so sorry.
No.
He's not denying it.
You guys got me? Sorry, cut out there for a second.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on.
Right, yeah. Hold on. Do you know what your ERA is at the moment?
Devil.
What's that?
Do you know what your ERA is at the moment?
It's not good. It's way north of what I want it to be.
No, it's 6.66 right now. So we need that to go down because that's a bad number.
We got to get it off there one way. Hopefully it's south. We need to go south of that real quick.
Yes, for sure.
It's been moving.
Listen, you pitched awesome last night. And the White Sox, 7 innings, great game. You got a standing ovation from the White Sox crowd. I gave you one at my house when you walked off the field because I was proud of you for stepping up for the team. What's it feel like when you've been struggling?
That one means more than anything.
What was it? What's it like? Explain to people when you're struggling as a player, and then you go out and you've been close because you've had some outings that were good. They kind of got away from you at the end. Walk off the field, the crowd stands up, gives you that ovation. How good does it feel as a player?
Uh-oh.
All
right, you guys got me?
Hold on. I think we lost him.
Uh-oh.
I still hear him.
Cutting in and out. Hold on, let me call back.
Okay, perfect. Call us right back. We're here. We're not going anywhere. We'll get back to him. Just getting started with Lance Lynn. And like I said...
We haven't even got to dig into anything yet.
Well, we got to get good service first.
White Sox make their players pay for internet, too.
Do they?
No, I'm just kidding.
So we'll bring on Lance in just a second.
Where were we?
So for me, White Sox fans have obviously gone through it this year, but they take the small wins.
Yes, but he got a great ovation last night. Pitched great. 7 innings, 1 run. Pitched really well. And they needed it, too, against the Guardians.
Against a good team.
Because that's a team that everybody...
Or what should be a good team.
True. But that's the team that everybody says is going to win this division, kind of going away after they won it last year. And there was the whole thing. Remember when the Guardians won last year, and in their celebration, there was some fire Tony La Russa chants and F the White Sox and a whole lot of stuff going on in their celebration. So they match up. And they had Bieber going. Guardians had Bieber, their guy, and White Sox whacked him.
Mm-hmm.
Sheets hit a ball that might never come down. Luis Robert hit a ball, 4th straight game with a home run. So it was a statement. I want to ask Lance, that was a statement game last night for the White Sox to say, hey, and Gavin Sheets after the game said, we're not done. We're still in the middle of this. We still have a chance, which I agree with because no one in the Central's run away, and no team, as you've said repeatedly, is that great. So they start clawing back in. They're going to be right there just like the Cardinals.
I wonder how many actual games back they are in the division at the moment.
It's 7.5.
It is
8.5.
9.
9. Okay, that's still not dead.
15-28. Twins at 24-19. Twins had a nice win actually yesterday over
Kershaw,
the Dodgers and Kershaw. They got him out pretty early. Just saying.
Yeah, understood.
Lance coming back in a sec.
I mean, he can go in the stadium, and there's Wi-Fi in the stadium.
Are you sure?
I've been there.
Didn't it used to be called U.S. Cellular? Oh, nice and clear. Oh, he looks good. Nice and clear.
Hey,
Picture's great.
I heard that. You say that there's Wi-Fi, but that Wi-Fi is what's cutting in and out. I had to get off of it.
Oh, now you're just on the phone, right?
Yeah, just on the phone.
There you go.
Hey, tell Jerry to pay for your Wi-Fi. Upgrade that Wi-Fi package.
I think you got to be hard connected still here.
Hey, your birthday was last Friday. What did you do for it? Because, I mean, at least as a pitcher, not playing every day, so you can at least plan something, no?
No, you can't, especially when you have a night game. There's not a whole, you can't go to dinner, you can't do anything. But the family had a little dinner for me on the off day on Monday, so it was good. All the kids saying happy birthday and all that good stuff. When you get old, you stop celebrating them, especially after like 30. They don't count anymore. That's the way I try to see it.
I think it should be the opposite. You're like, yo, look at me, still going strong. Whether it's just someone like me in life or you actually in the bigs.
Yeah, truthfully, but you don't want anybody to know actually how old you are, because like eventually they start putting a time stamp on you. Like, man, you're getting to the end, and I'm like, nah, I got plenty of years left, so I'm not going to tell you how old I am until I'm done.
How many years do you want to play or more? If you had to just put a rando number on it.
I would say right now, the idea is just to make it to the next one every year when you get to this point. But always the original goal was always to 38. I don't know why that number sticks out. So 2 more years for sure is the hope, and then kind of see how you feel, see where the kids are at, school-wise, sports-wise, whatever you need. A lot of things are going to be going on when I get to that age to where family's going to need me a lot more coming up. So that's kind of the thought right now.
One of the keys, I think, recently has been saying, fuck the sweeper. And you told us that last time, and you were like, I gave up a dinger off that pitch, and then next outing we watched, I think you didn't use it anymore, and I don't think you've used it since. Correct me if I'm wrong. I was looking through the pitch usage.
Yeah, I gave up a hit on it last night too, so it's still in the doghouse. That's where we're at with it. It's starting to look better. I did get a strikeout one game with it, so it's it's hit or miss right now. It either gives up a hit or strikes someone out. So I'd like it to be more of the ability to get outs with it on more of a basis that's more of my liking.
Hey, remember he said fuck the sweeper, and now he's throwing the sweeper. He also said he wants to make it to 38. Well, Tom Brady said he was going to play till he was 45. He just quit too. So I mean,
yeah, but he made it to what, 43, 44?
Yeah, but I mean, he was 43 when he ended. So I mean, anything over 40, you just sometimes you start talking crazy when you get over 40. 45, 40 was a little nuts. So I'm in a good spot to get to 38, and then you see where you're at after that. But that was always my goal. And you know how it is, AJ. When you get to the big leagues, your goal is to get to arbitration and free agency, and then you're like, okay, what's going to be enough? I think 38 is kind of that point where back when I played with you years and years ago, when you were old, I was thinking,
I think I was
I'd love
38.
to play that long.
I think I was 38 when we played together, so it was pretty close.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that was the number back in the day. I don't know why. It's just one of those things where like all the guys that I played with, I respected, that had long careers. Like 38 was that kind of that number where it's like, hey, I could probably give it another year, but I'm not trying to be miserable leaving.
True. I made it 2 more after that. So
yeah, and Brady, I've been told, made it to 45. He turns 46 in August.
Oh,
so
okay.
He did make it.
He made it.
Ha, from Tom Brady.
Yeah. Oh, good. He's really showing me, man.
Yeah,
Tom,
he's
you're showing
you.
me and Lance.
Yeah.
Hey, Lance, when you didn't pay for your Wi-Fi, and we have to now pay for your Wi-Fi, we were talking about the win last night. Not only the way you pitched, but was that a message to the Guardians? They had Bieber going. You were pitching for the White Sox, and you guys whooped their ass last night. Sheets hit the ball. I mean, Louis Robert hits a home run every game. Was that kind of a message saying, hey, we're not done yet, and we have a chance still in this division?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of everything. I haven't pitched the way that I wanted to so far, so you're playing a division opponent that gave us trouble last year, so you want to get after them. Offensively, you're facing Bieber, who has always been really good against us. So all in all, we showed what we're capable of. Now we just got to do it day in and day out, and that's where we're at. And that's going to be the main thing moving forward. How can we do things day in and day out to win games?
Hey, Lance, the fans have been waiting for this because I promised. We're doing a giveaway, okay? And we kind of teased it last time. You have it?
Right.
Is that it? There you go.
Right here.
It is a
Clank
signed
ball.
clank
Clank ball,
It
yes.
is the clank ball. Actually, hey, social team, that's what we need to call it now. The clank ball. Is it already signed by both of you?
Signed by
there
both
we
of
go.
us and authenticated and has the sticker.
Signed and authenticated. First pitch thrown out
There
for
you
the
go.
White Sox season
There's both signatures
on opening day.
on opening day, and there's the authentication. And just
Just
this is
showing
the
years and
authentication.
years of AJ behind the plate.
So here's Lance. I just want to get on the record now because the signatures aren't authenticated. But
Mhm.
Lance, you did sign this ball for me when I saw you on Saturday, correct? Clank.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted that's on the record. He was stretching. I don't know why, but he was
Yeah,
stretching in
I
the
was
training
stretching
room.
you guys just said I was old. You guys stretch the older you get.
Hell yeah. And we just showed the GoPro
I was
footage and
getting
all
ready for
that.
my bullpen. He came in and bugged me like he always does when he comes sit down, and we got it done though.
That's good work.
Everybody says, "Oh, you can't go back there." I'm like, "Where's your credential?" I said, "See that World Series ring? That's my credential. I'll go wherever I want."
You're that guy?
I'm that guy. I'll go wherever I
Especially
want,
here.
kids.
Everybody knows when AJ's in town when he's here. That's for sure.
No surprise. So for everyone watching, there's your 3 easy steps to win that first pitch ball. I would say, yes, we got to switch for the next time we put the graphic up. The clank ball. How to win the clank ball. Follow FT's YouTube page. Or subscribe to it. Reply to our giveaway tweet with a screenshot showing your follow. And the winner gets announced next Wednesday. You got 1 week. White Sox are a part of this too. So good luck to everyone. Okay. So I want to get the veteran pitcher's perspective here. Domingo German gets tossed from the game yesterday. He had been checked by the same ump crew. This shit's important because then Max has a situation which we think is different from the situation from yesterday. They showed like some crap on his pants, not literal crap, but wanted to get your thoughts on what went down. What could be. I mean, Kratz thought it was dip, but what did you think of all of that and where are we at with sticky stuff now?
I think I think the big thing of all of it when it all started was to see where guys were at, whether it was spin rates and all that, to see if they're going down when the check started a couple years ago now. Now it's like I feel like you're getting like some guys have gotten opportunities to. I guess he got an opportunity to wipe it off or whatever he had and didn't, and then came out and said that there's more stickiness than ever. Did I see it correctly that he got thrown out going back out to the mound?
Yes, he was coming out of the dugout.
So, in my opinion, like if you get thrown out going back out to the mound, like that's just stupidity. I don't know what he's got going on or anything like that. He says that he's not doing anything wrong, so I don't know him personally. It's one of those things where if you got to almost go above and beyond and make sure after you get warned or whatever to make sure you don't do it. But I think every guy's different. Everybody's got different rosin things and that nature. So, but when you get told to do something coming off and then it seems like nothing changed coming back out, you're going to get in trouble. There's no other way to say it, and that's pretty much what it looked like. Like I said, I've not seen the thing all the way through. I just know that when you get popped coming out of the dugout, going back out, that's you can't really say that you have rosin on your hands because unless you're sitting there putting rosin on in the dugout, which I've never seen before, so I don't know.
It was the same umpires. Let's not forget that last time he got checked and they told him to go wash, the game Rocco Baldelli got kicked out of. It was the same umpiring crew. So they were already on high alert.
They say,
Right.
He said last time they checked him that is what he does. He puts the rosin on his hands before he comes out there, which I'm like, why?
Well, I think if you end that practice, I think that then you can have more of a, hey, everyone sees me put the rosin on me on the mound and how I go about it, and that's what I do. So like I said, I don't know him. When I was in New York, I barely crossed paths with him when I was there. Don't know anything that he used then or anything now, but if you're putting stuff on in the dugout before, that's kind of what they want you to get away from anyways. It's, hey, here's what's behind the mound. This is what everybody gets to use, and let's go compete against each other on a fair basis.
What do you use? Spider tack? Pine tar? What do you use? Dip?
No, I got rosin and good old fashioned sweat. When you eat enough red meats and drink some vodka and all that during the week, you sweat out differently than other people. So it works well for me.
Ranch dressing, maybe? I don't know. Thousand Island? What are we using here?
No, I'm a vinaigrette person on my salads. That's the best way to go about it. A nice
So
salmon Caesar too, every once in a while.
there you go.
There you go.
I like that. So
Yeah.
my question on this is, afterward, they talk to James Hoy, the umpire, the crew chief gets to address like one pool reporter. And he said it was like the stickiest he's ever felt a hand when he was doing the hand checks. Okay. He then said it was not rosin. He's like, that was not rosin. I know what rosin is. It doesn't get sticky like that. That's the only part where I think now MLB is just letting it linger, because Scherzer, who said, I swear on my kids' lives I was only using sweat and rosin, but you actually, according to the rules, can use too much sweat and rosin. That's what got him in trouble. So I don't want to lump those two together. I think they're separate cases. I also think an umpire saying sweat and rosin can't get sticky has not seen multiple demonstrations done. But if you use enough of that shit and get it real sticky and get the sweat on there, like we've seen the demos, you can actually get it really sticky. So don't you think we're kind of all over the place right now?
Yeah, and unfortunately, to be honest with you, everybody sweats differently, and that's just the truth of it. We have guys that sweat and rosin is. Some guys get a little bit more feel than others, and it's just sweat and rosin. So I don't really know how you can police that. You're pretty much saying, hey, you can use your sweat because it's not as sticky as that guy's sweat. So I think that there's going to be a fine line there. But like I said, if you're doing everything on the mound and they see it, like that's where I think that's the main thing that we're trying to get is, hey, here's what's behind the mound, here's what everybody's using, and it's kind of one of those things. Whatever you're able to get out of it, then that's the way it's going to go. And I think that's the number one thing. It's like for me, I use the rosin that's behind the mound, and that's it. Here we go, and I just get after it. And I think that's going to be the number one thing to save anybody. Is like, hey, you're literally looking at everything that I'm doing. I'm not doing anything in the dugout or nothing. This is what I'm doing. I'm using the rosin that you put out there before the game, and that's it.
If an ump comes up to you and says, sorry, dude, too much sweat with your rosin right now, too much steak and vodka during the week, what do you say back?
It's like, what do you want me to do? Like, I can't wipe sweat off when I'm sweating, things of like that nature. So when you look at it that way, it's like, okay, you're starting down a slippery slope that you can't do anything. So we're going to have a sweat towel on the back of the mound. Then we're going to have more time on the clock to wipe sweat away. Like there's a lot of slippery, like there's a lot of ways this could go. But when it's all said and done, if you are using what they give you behind the mound and that's it, I think that's where, it's pretty much says, hey, we're watching him. That's what it is. He's using the rosin behind the mound, and there's no rosin being administered in the dugout or things like that. We're watching him do it, and that's the way it goes. I think that's what we're all trying to get at, right? Everybody's doing that. Everybody has the rosins behind the mound. That's it. And then whatever you can do, you do it. And you go out there and pitch with what you have.
Now tell your real answer, dude. If an umpire comes up to you and says, yeah, you're sweating too much and you're only using rosin, you're grabbing your nuts and saying, fuck off, dude. Come feel them. I mean, let's be serious. You're not giving them that.
If you're telling me, hey, you're sweating too much and all that, it's like, well, that's, I'm out here pitching. That's my job. So you're telling me not to do my job and things of that nature. So, I've never had an issue with anything with this. I've actually enjoyed the checks and getting rid of the spider tax and all the stuff that other people were using, because I saw some outrageous things in the past, and then now you just say, hey, here's the rosin, go get go get it, and whatever you can naturally get from the rosin, and that's what you get, and then you just go compete. That's the way I was taught coming up. I didn't have the spider tax and the pine tars and all of that, Heck, when I was coming up, it was throw a sinker, so you didn't want any stick. You wanted the sinker to sink more, and stick made it spin more and didn't sink as much. So, games change.
Exactly. Speaking of that same game last night, because you're old now. Speaking of that game last night, not only German get ejected, I'm sure you guys saw the whole Aaron Judge thing where he's looking side-eyeing the crap out of the first base coach, or allegedly whatever he was doing. I know you. And we asked Corbin Burns this yesterday. If you catch a guy doing that, he's catching one in the ribs, right?
That's the only way to stop it, I think, right? Unfortunately, whether it's kind of everything's changed in the game. Everyone told me they're like, oh well, if you're giving it and the first base or third base coach can get it, then it's on you. It's like, no, coaches and dugouts and things like that are out of it. If a guy's on base and he sees it, your grip from second, that's on you. I see that one. But when players that are not on the field or coaches that are not playing the game are involved, that's where I think it's too much. Everybody can do their homework. They can see things and do all that. But if it's not your teammate and or you in the box getting the tips or whatever, that's where I draw the line.
Understood. I would expect nothing less, because we've talked about this. If you catch a guy peeking, it's auto rib shot.
That's that old school when the guy wears sunglasses and is peeking at the catcher where he goes. That's the same thing, and that's the old way of, when it's all said and done, you're trying to create an advantage by doing something that you're not supposed to.
Mm-hmm. I have a fan question here from Brandon. It's actually been a big topic over the past week. This is a good one for you. Brandon goes, do you think Shohei Ohtani is an ace?
I mean, his stuff says yes. So that's the you're looking at, I think he's starting to pitch more and more each year after Tommy John. So when it's all said and done, you can say what you want. He's an MVP. He's an ace. He's a powerful DH. He's everything that you have wanted in a creative player on MLB The Show. So yeah, you can't say he's not.
Okay, how many aces are there in baseball?
Ooh,
One per team?
Ooh, I wouldn't even say that.
Oakland doesn't have one.
No, I wouldn't say there's one. I would say on all of baseball, you could classify 10 to 15 guys as aces, true aces.
Okay. So AJ and Kratz were more like 8 to 10. I said more like 15 to 20. So he's right in the middle of the range. And we were going through names because it depends on what your definition is. They're doing the whole some guys don't have enough dirt in their spikes situation. Like for me, Shohei Ohtani, it's not like he's a year in. It's been several years. The stuff's sick. Game on the line or whatever, series on the line or something. If he's on the mound, I feel great. He has Cy Young caliber stuff. It's not like it's been 1 minute in the league. Like there's multiple examples here. Spencer Strider, ace-like stuff, but not enough yet because he just started last year, right?
I got you. I feel like Shohei obviously has more than along the career path than Spencer does, but Spencer's got tremendous stuff watching him pitch. So I think there's the old school in you says, hey, you got to earn it to be an ace, and then there's ace-like stuff. There's a lot of guys with ace-like stuff, but if you haven't done it over the period of time yet, you can't be classified either. So I get both sides of that.
Okay, so are you?
We like to anoint people a little early.
Because if I had to win a game, I'd take Lance Lynn on the mound. Are you an ace? If we're going off Scott's questions,
if you were to say of one of the 10 to 15 in the game, nobody would say yes to that. But when it comes to being able to, when a game's on the line, leave it all out there, I feel like I'm a guy that's in that category. So it just depends on how you want it. If you don't have eye-popping stuff, some people don't like it. But there's a lot of guys that pitched a long time in this game that didn't have the wow stuff, but they had nuts and guts, and that's all you need to win a game.
That's what we've talked about with Lance, too. Also, we're going off a month and a half of baseball. To me, I don't take too much recency bias, right? Verlander's made a couple, 3 starts or something, and 2 haven't gone well. Scherzer hasn't pitched well. Those guys are both aces right now. I'm going off. There's a past experience factor here for me, just like with Lance, right? We've said with Cy Young votes, ERA titles, being in the top 5s of things like that, that's been there for a while. So good in my book.
Okay.
Just saying. All right, good. Thank you for helping with the debate.
Scott believes everyone gets a trophy, so just
no,
understand
that's not true at all. Absolutely not true at all. Like Lance, it's no secret. Like the Oakland A's, they don't have an ace. And we can go down the line. I came up with about 20 pitchers.
Hey, the great Denny Martinez, El Presidente, told me in high A, he goes, "You're the ace of that day because you're the guy starting." So you can't say that, but that was Denny for you. He was always positive.
We've gotten some of those lines.
Nuts and guts, Scott, and don't ever forget it.
Yeah, here
it's
we
a T-shirt. All right, well, Lance, awesome catching up with you. And good luck to whoever wins the clank ball. I'm glad that is
This
the
is not
perfect
the
name
clank
for
ball.
it. No, I know that's not the clank ball. It's the
Clank
clank ball
ball's
is prettier.
stuffed away over there.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know if he's
being
going to want to
taken
give
care
it
of.
away.
You don't want to give it away?
No, I
Not
don't know
me.
if AJ's going to want to give it away.
Oh, we already committed to it.
Oh,
so we're
it's
giving
going
it away.
away. No, it's going away. I should have got Lance to write like "I suck at catching" clank on it or something.
Yeah, I was using AJ's catching glove from the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, good catching up, dude. We'll talk to you in a few weeks.
See you guys.
See you,
Appreciate
Lance.
you, man.
Nuts and guts.
Nuts and guts.
I
That's
like
good
it.
stuff.
That's what it takes to win a game. Nuts and guts.
Mm-hmm. And good stuff.
Yeah, but still, you win a lot of games with nuts and guts.
Yes. If you're major league caliber.
At any level, whatever level you're at, you win a lot more games with having guts and nuts than you can with stuff.
Yeah.
Because if you're not scared and you throw it over the plate at any level, you got a chance.
No, disagree with that. If you throw
At any level.
if you throw a flat fastball at a mediocre velocity over the middle of the plate, you are getting tanked.
You've got a chance.
No, you've got a chance of giving up a homer on every pitch.
Okay, so how does like these college teams that go in and play these spring training games against like the Red Sox, they win every once in a while? How does that happen?
Because we're still talking about high caliber people. I'm not an everyone gets a trophy guy. Like some people not made out to be baseball players or pitchers. Myself included. I tried pitching for 5 seconds and I was the same way. They were like, "Oh, aim for the glove," and it was right in the middle. So I threw every pitch right down the middle basically. And it was a quick, all right, back to first base.
I stood over the plate. I give you credit.
Do not teach everything just straight up over the middle. If you have nasty stuff, sure. Middle does not work. Even at a lower level, that does not always work.
True. But you win a lot more games by walking less guys.
That's different. I agree with that. Just like we had Ben Nicholson-Smith on earlier, and he's like, actually, also, in addition to what you guys are talking about, Manoah's not hitting the plate as much. Which could be two reasons.
Which means he's behind the count and then whack, whack.
Yes. Also, maybe he's not as confident in his stuff, so he's missing the nuts or guts.
True. And the Rockies are wearing the license plate uniforms today.
There you go. All right, so one more thing to do before slap hands. Legends Territory, new episode came out this morning, and we'd like you all to check it out right now. Andrew Jones, who should be a fill in the blank
ticket guy for me to get me Morgan Wallen tickets.
Oh, should be a Hall of Famer. But yes, he talks about that. He's in the Morgan Wallen song 98 Braves. Let's get a little sneak peek of what you can watch on Legends Territory, which is live now up on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. You type in Legends Territory and it's there as well. Here's Andrew. I need some juicy Greg Maddux story. I mean, almost anyone that's played with him is like, this dude was off the rails, and you had the trio there all picking on each other, doing pranks and jokes, and we're pretty far removed from that time period, so I think it's safe now.
Wow. I don't want to throw Chipper on the bus, but he picked on Chipper the most. Chipper used to use the white sanitaries to put, he probably would use like 8 sanitaries a leg. Maddox wipe his butt with him all the time, and he
Maddox is
and Chip would just go and pick a handful of them, and because the bucket from sanitary used to be next to Maddox's locker. This is funny. I'm not kidding. This is true story. You can ask him about it one day, but Chipper really did not know about it. To be honest with you, I'm just saying this right now because if Chipper hear it, he probably will go and call Maddox and say, "Really?" I'm sure he does. Maybe he don't, but that was the craziest thing I ever seen. I mean, the pissing in the shower is a different stuff. He will go out there with no flip flop on, and if you're next to him, he will pee on your legs.
I was gonna say, has he ever peed on your leg? Because he's famous for peeing on everyone's leg in the shower.
No, I'm always in the opposite way from him. I knew exactly what all that he does, so I try to stay away from it.
Greg Maddux stories.
Never get old.
They never end either.
No, there's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot you can't tell on any, not only on cable, you can't tell them anywhere.
You can tell them on these formats.
I'm not telling them. Letting them tell them.
Okay. Well, we do. Andrew Jones, teammate of Greg Maddux for a while. 10-time Gold Glover, 5-time All-Star. In my opinion, a Hall of Famer based on plenty of hitting and power to go along with some of the best center field of all time. And that's a premium position. Still in the game today. Super hard to find a guy who can handle center field at an elite level and hit the baseball. So Legends territory out right now. Untold stories, unfiltered takes from the biggest names in baseball history every Wednesday on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. And now, you feel lonely because it's just me and you two?
No, it's nice.
Yeah, it is, right?
It's nice.
You got a little space? Yeah. You take up the whole
I get
screen?
the whole screen. So just,
I know you like that.
oh, of course. Look how good looking I am. Of course.
On that note, let's slap hands. This is not a New York bias show, but I can't wait to watch Jays-Yankees tonight. That's genuine. I could not take my eyes off the screen. I'm sure there'll be something else that'll try and steal the top of the show for tomorrow. I'd actually I'll challenge all of the rest of the teams and storylines out there to try and top what's going on. Because if nothing happens in tonight's game, yeah, but if that's what you say, and that's why this sport is fun to cover, because there's a ton of games every night. Something else might happen.
Who's fighting today?
Someone's fighting. Someone else is getting kicked out of a game. Someone hits 4 homers, 3. There's a lot of different things that could pop up. Or the Blue Jays-Yankees could be ho-hum. Nothing happens. Doubtful. But just saying, nothing could happen. Ben Nicholson-Smith, thank you for joining us. Also, and I have one thing I want to get in there, so don't music me yet. And Lance Lynn and Jesús Luzardo.
Oh, boy. Yes, thank you, guys. Thanks, Lance.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Jesus.
Just real quick,
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, WFAN, for
this is Scott.
The 4th time you've mentioned the show, because we really need the pub, especially from Eric Cartman's listeners, who clearly would definitely enjoy our show if they put themselves through the pain of listening to that sports analysis from that guy for a long time. I listened to that station growing up for a long time. When you listen to a show like that from him, not the same. More sports analysis from taking an edible and talking to a tree.
Okay. All right.
So thank you.
Hey,
appreciate you,
I
Cartman.
want to say this, and I put this on my Instagram. Come on our show. I'll go on your show. Come on our show. Let's talk.
He's going to be like, oh, I don't want to give them pub. People listening to you are not crossing audiences with us. And also, you're so soft if you're like, oh, I can't say the name of the show. Okay. The YouTube show. Podcast numbers are probably better than his. If he went on his own and wasn't on the #1 market radio station and just went off on his own, how many people follow?
Not as many are following McAfee off YouTube.
Oh, my God. McAfee.
Off of YouTube.
McAfee is a freaking powerhouse.
Exactly.
Nobody's touching him.
So
Sorry.
Come on. I don't even know what
I respect the hustle.
I really don't
he works
know
hard.
Name, so
Cartman. He works hard. He's a master of none. He has to cover all the sports. He doesn't watch the games. He needs a nap. But the invitation is there.
But it wasn't him. Who was the other guy that said the Rays cheated? What was his name?
Roberts.
Come on. Let's go.
Yeah, but Cartman was the one who then went back again to try a clapback, because that's the only thing he does on his show. Like, if you listen to it, it's just like, it sounds like South Park.
I'm not listening. Sports radio.
I like it. It's good, clean fun. We can talk things out. We can do a boxing match for charity. There's a lot of things we can do. So you're welcome for any of that with any of our hosts. Call us. You won't. See you Thursday.